What's up, boys? How's everybody doing?
Hi.
Hello. Oh my god. You guys brought so much energy to the table this time.
Yeah, no, we gotta do this, fam. Come on.
Gotta bring the energy.
Wait, are we live?
We're live.
Oh, okay. I was definitely reading an article. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
You do need to read that article, so it is important.
So it's fresh.
Yeah.
What? So what, Owen? What?
I was just gonna say, so you're doing better than most radio hosts that I know that don't read the articles that we give them, and then they just kind of like BS their way through stories, like on air, and they're just like, "Wait a second, this is the way this story's going." I was like, "Did you not read the fucking story before we turn the mics on? Like, come on."
God,
I mean, honestly, who
Congratulations,
reads?
you're doing more than most.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
We don't got time for this, okay?
What?
We don't got time to be standing around. We're
Hey,
multitasking
everybody.
right now, okay?
Oh, of
Welcome
course
back
you
to
are.
the Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I am Aaron Juno.
Who's next?
I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
There you go.
Literally,
New format,
he
new
was started
format.
saying the thing,
Alright.
and then I was like, "Oh wait, who's in order?" And I scrolled.
That is you.
and I did it too late.
It's
Let's just try it
alphabetical,
again.
motherfucker.
Let's try it again. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I am Aaron Juno.
I am Alex McCausland.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I'm Chad McCausland.
I'm Jake John Fetterkyle.
And I am Owen Patterline. Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
On today's episode number 168, NFT games are, and I know we are all sad about this, on the chopping block.
Oh,
Bob Odenkirk stars in the remake of a cult classic while a real journalist learns and shares the history of civilization. And Blizzard considers adding a Sigma Purri Purri Prisoner skin. It's going to happen, boys. Plus, Destiny 2 raid day is tomorrow, PAX East is in 2 weeks, and of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels, or you can check out our website at WeAreTheHorizon.com, where we have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, The Discordant Signal, which has been wrapped up as of last episode. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you're using. Let's get into it. First and foremost, I have a list. I'm not going to lie, this is not going to be the best list delivery we've ever had, but here we are. I have a list. Thank you, Owen, for providing this list.
Yep.
The title of this list, importantly, Fake Bands, Real Songs, the 50 Best Tunes by Made-Up Musicians. There are some... I'm not going to go through 50
Yeah.
songs on this list. I'm going to go through the top 8. I know that's ridiculous. I normally do a top 10, but we're going to do the top 8. I think that's...
But
No,
then
but
we
number-
won't get, 5,000 candles in the wind from Mouse Rat, or, let's go to the mall
Heck yeah.
from Robin Sparkle. Come
That
on.
is true. Or number 28, which I'm really upset about. Number 28, We Are Sex Bomb in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I don't know why that's not higher.
It's not as
good
good as
garbage truck.
Garbage
though.
truck.
Because Garbage Truck is an actual Beck song.
Well, but doesn't Beck do also We Are Sex
Yeah,
Bomb or no?
But so here's the difference is the fact that Sex Bombs was never actually released by Beck. It's just a song he made for the movie, whereas Garbage Truck is a song Beck has released for Beck.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
I like that.
I know this because how I found this list to give to Aaron was Edgar Wright tweeting about the position of 28 on the list.
Wow,
And
course
that's amazing.
yeah, and also he was discussing how how Sex Bombs got there and how it was only done in one take, and they kept it only on one take because they wanted to keep it raw and sounding like a garage band and things like that. And so that's how it kind of came to be the way that it is. But yeah, so that's how all of this got found though.
Okay. Well, here we go. Number 8. Finest Girl from pop star Never Stop, Never Stopping. Has anybody
Good
actually
movie.
seen that? Oh, you have. Okay.
Underrated.
Man. Underrated, you think?
Is that the Lonely Island movie?
It is the
Yes,
Lonely
it is.
Island.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, there's a.
Heck
I didn't even know
yeah.
there was a Lonely Island movie. Wild.
It's a mockumentary. I mean, I'm sure it's excellent. Sure, it is excellent. Number 7, we have Best of Both Worlds from Hannah Montana 2006.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bop.
Guys,
Is that not just a Miley Cyrus song?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
all
a
Hannah
Hannah
Montana
Montana
songs, not
song.
just
Yeah.
Miley
Is
Cyrus
Hannah
songs.
Montana not real?
No, not at all. Fake.
I don't know. I don't know. Feels like you're really blurring the line here.
Yeah, that one I felt like really kind of scooted on by, and I was like, I don't know. It seems a little weird.
Number 6, we have School of Rock from School of Rock 2003.
Okay. All
Classic.
right.
Yep.
It's
Good
really
stuff.
hard to beat Jack Black songs in general.
That's true.
He just delivers. Man.
He's a legend.
anybody
And
ever
he's
seen-
Bowser.
Does Tenacious D count?
I was
on
just
this
about to
list?
say, has anybody ever
So-
seen Tenacious D in the Pick of
Tenacious
Destiny?
D,
Of course.
isn't on the list because Tenacious D tours as a real band.
Yeah, I was
They
gonna
do,
say,
yeah.
but it was like it spawned from the movie, right?
Yes.
Man,
But
wouldn't
they're
it be
like a real
cool if-
band now.
Yeah, but
Sex
because they
Bomb
toured as a
toured?
real band, I
That'd
think
be
they
freaking
counted as a real band.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, very weird. Very weird, a lot of the stuff.
What's the name of the song from Scott Pilgrim? Is it I'm So Sad?
I'm sad, so
sad.
very, very sad.
Yes. Freaking love that song.
So sad.
It's very good.
It's not a race,
Number 5.
guys.
Number 5, we have It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp by DJ from Hustle and Flow 2005.
I listen to that when I work out.
Do you? Checks out. Checks out.
Actually,
Number 4, we have 3 Small Words by Josie and the Pussycats from Josie and the Pussycats 2001.
Which, like, fucking great movie. Like-
Solid movie.
So good.
I just got on the topic of celebrity crushes from your childhood with a group I went out skiing and snowboarding with. And like it really takes you back. We start looking through the people that you watched shows that they made in the 90s and 2000s, whatnot. One of the guys there was like, all right, bros, listen, I know this is going to sound weird, but just hear me out. I was young then, okay? My celebrity crush was Cindy Lou Who.
all right. Yikes. But cool.
Yeah.
Yikes, but cool.
Yikes, but cool. Number 3, which I cannot believe this is not number 1, which is Shallow by Jackson Maine and Allie from A Star Is Born 2008.
Mm.
Yeah. It
That's
is insane to me
incredible
that
song.
that's
That's like a real
only
song.
3.
It is like a real song, except not from a real band. Real songs, fake bands.
Mhm.
It's just a Gaga song.
I know. No, it's not. It's not a Gaga song though.
It's a Bradley Cooper song.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Number 2, coming in just in second. Honestly, probably a good spot for it. Scotty Doesn't Know Eurotrip 2004.
Mm.
Solid.
Definitely thought that was a real song.
I also
Really?
thought this was a real song. This is when I discovered it was from a movie. I was like, huh, I thought this was like an actual band.
Mm.
That was just like on the radio and stuff when I was a kid.
Last but not least, we have at number 1, That Thing You Do by The Wonders in That Thing You Do, 1996, starring Tom Hanks.
Oh, wow.
I've never
Yeah.
never seen
Never
this
heard of that.
movie. I assume it's good if it's number 1.
It's his directorial debut about an early 60s group that has one hit before disbanding.
Hmm.
And that one hit wonder was on the top of this list. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of other weird songs on here too that like I start scrolling through. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when they were doing that in that movie, but what a strange list to put together. I'll take it though. Fake bands, real songs, 50 best tunes by made up musicians. We'll put in a link so you can see it. On to the more important stuff on news related items. Apple, who of course, with like 28% of the market share of mobile devices in the world, and always
Innovation, man.
yeah, well, they're always, they don't need to innovate because they're just always using the most common cables available.
Is it only 28%?
It's only 28%. Honestly,
Wow.
incredible. Isn't that
That's
crazy?
dope.
I mean, the thing is, Androids just everywhere else are just so popular.
Yeah.
And there's so many companies that make Android devices. There's one that makes Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which company is that?
what company is that makes Apple phones? iPhones?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
The Steve Jobs Corp.
Yeah, Steve Jobs Corp. That's it.
Yep.
Good.
Anyway.
good.
They have been making some updates to their EU release of the iPhone, which includes a
Well,
brand new USB-C port.
more so. Let's backtrack for a second. I don't know if you guys know this, but EU has mandated that phone charging ports, like any phone that comes out in the modern era, is required to be USB-C. So
I like
iPhone
that.
had to respond to that and we have been eagerly awaiting. Most of us thought it was going to be just pure wireless charging. Just get rid of the port because, that's what they've been doing with their design decisions.
There's a lot because they said something about like, yes, we will comply with the order. And then people were like, they're just going to remove the port.
Yeah.
Because that gets around it.
Yep. That would have gotten around it. But it's even worse than that. They are going to put
Apple.
a USB-C port on the device. But the thing is they're going to have a MFI cable, which is made for iPhone. And all your speeds and everything are going to be the same as before. Like nothing's really upgraded here. But cables with no MFI will be software limited in data and charging speed.
Oh my god.
In charging speed?
Yes.
Okay, like I can understand software because how often do you actually connect your phone to a device? Sure, to your car, maybe.
Yeah.
But charging speed?
Yep, charging speed.
How long do you think Apple's lawyers read through the details of this everything has to be USB-C rule before they were like, hey, they just
We
mean
got it,
the actual
finally.
shape of the cable.
Okay, but here's the deal. Here's my question. How slow is it going to be? Because, and maybe the article which I should have read before starting this new segment explains. But if it's like minimal difference, the third-party cables, it's really not going to matter. And then also usually you charge overnight or like you're on the cable or you're sitting at your desk or something. And then when you go out, that's when you're using batteries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I kind of operate. Like right now, my phone's off the charger and it's 87%, so I don't need to put it on. But if I started to see it dying, got a cable right next to me. Just throw it on.
But is it an Apple sanctioned
probably-
good cable?
So like they have what they
It's not.
consider quote unquote fast charging, right? It's like you can get your phone to like 80% in like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So it's probably like that will be locked out.
Yeah, I've never had that experience of like, man, I've got to get out the door in 15 minutes and my phone's at 1%. So I don't think it'll matter. But I think it's a decision. It is a design decision that Apple would make.
Even if
I
it
think
doesn't
it's
matter though,
ridiculous.
it'll be like in people's heads like, oh, I don't have the good one though. I need the good one.
True.
Yeah.
Alex, as we're talking about this, I can tell you're in a nightfall because your
No.
camera colors are changing so dramatically.
No.
So much red a second ago.
Oh
Looked like
my
he was dying for a
gosh.
second.
What
You
are
were
we
like
talking
leaning
about
over, you're like, yes, I'm sure Apple will beat you.
So are you basically saying that people are going to be like me when I got the SteelSeries mouse and Travis and I compared the maximum DPI?
Yes,
And
exactly.
he had
remember this.
16,000 DPI, and
very
I
necessary.
contacted support after I could only get up to 10,000, and I said, why don't I have the capabilities of getting up to 16,000 DPI? And the guy replied to me, I'm curious what game you're playing that you need 16,000 DPI.
That's not the point.
I was like, it's not
my
the
guy,
point.
It's the principle.
Did I
You
say I
told
was
me.
playing a game?
What was that?
Gosh.
Did I say I was playing a game?
Dude, yeah, I'm just browsing the web, dude.
Yeah.
It's
Really
called
fast.
Excel. Do you know how fast I need to move between those cells?
I've got a 12 monitor setup, okay?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
All of them are
Yeah.
IMAXs.
I think it's interesting because the EU has like a pretty serious right to repair law, and it's very different than what we have here, which is like a lot of times why it's really difficult to make adjustments or modifications to your iPhone or Android devices because we don't have the same right to repair rules that they do. I think that's why specifically they're able to enforce USB-C like on every device that's produced because they're moving towards this sort of like circular economy by 2050 thing where they don't have a lot of excess, not a lot of waste. It's just so different here, which is why we're still on a freaking lightning cable. I would rather have slowed speeds with this USB-C MPC TI or whatever it is.
Then you can
a
like
lightning cable.
actually know that people around you are going to have the charging cable of your phone because it's all universal.
Yes,
You-
it's
you got a-
awesome, man.
You got a phone charger? And it's like, yeah, but like, what kind?
Have you seen that TikTok with those guys?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got a phone charger? Yeah, here it is, lightning cable. Why, mate? It's like 27% of all iPhones or all mobile devices in the world. Crazy.
What I don't
Absolutely wild.
get about the USB-C enforcement is like what happens when USB-D comes out or whatever it is.
I mean, USB-D is already here, buddy.
I mean, do you think they'll make that adjustment that fast? Because USB-A has been out for a long, long time, and it took quite some time for them to even move to micro.
In the world of like mobile electronics, they've gone from like mini to micro to USB-C over the course of a decade, right?
Yeah, but I think this change was pretty serious, right? Because all of the other USB cables have one direction. They're, single direction plugs, whereas USB-C is two direction plug. And then I feel like they took a long time making this standard so that they could capitalize on that and keep it the same for a while.
The next question. Well, is there going to be any budget for R&D to get better cables now that this is
if it's
in place?
Mandated that you can't use anything but USB-C, who's going to invest in making anything better?
So, like, do we just stump ourselves as a society because of the EU?
That was my next question, actually.
Interesting. Like, I was just looking, USB 1.0, which is the A, the one we all know, is a 1996 debut product.
Ooh. A long time ago.
Right. So if you think about it, like USB-C...
I was two.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Like USB-C was, I think, is like a 2008, 2010, somewhere in there. So I mean, that's still 12 years between those, and we've had the USB-C for a long time, and I don't know that we're limited really in terms of like speed or charging capacity on the USB-C currently. They keep making the cables better, so as long as they keep using this port and with the number of devices that are using it, I don't think they'll make that change that fast or anytime in the near future. And when they do, people will be moving to new phones anyways. I mean, you guys, everybody here probably upgrades their phone once every other year, I would guess.
No.
No?
I mean, I've got
an
this
iPhone 8.
Wonderful.
Are there two camera lenses on the back of that phone?
iPhone SE 2,
Heck
I
yeah.
think this is. This thing is like several years old.
Heck yeah. Love it.
I
got
keep
asked
my
the other
SEs
day-
for a while, like I don't upgrade this thing often.
Yeah.
We upgrade. We're in the iPhone every year program, so we upgrade every year. And I was asked the other day what iPhone I had, and I was like, whatever the latest is. I don't even think about it anymore.
It's crazy. They make a lot of money. Apple is so wealthy. Let's move on from Apple because we don't need to talk about Apple anymore. It's not important. Film world. Let's talk about a few things in film world.
Movies.
Bob Odenkirk has been doing some lines in a new film. Well, not a new film.
Some lines, huh?
It's an old film. Yeah. Not those kind of lines, Alex. Look, man, I know what you're going to do before the raid tomorrow, but we don't need to talk about it on the podcast. Okay?
G Fuel.
Ah.
No, bloody nose. Great.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, Bob Odenkirk acting in The Room remake, a cult classic, fantastic film. Jake, you want to talk about this at all?
I mean, that's kind of the long and the short of it. There's honestly not much details in this article, just that, like, apparently they filmed a remake of The Room, and Bob Odenkirk starred as Steve Room. I don't remember the main character's name.
Well, how much?
Steve Room.
I feel like that was his name. But also, according to this article, Tommy Wiseau doesn't know about it, or didn't know about it. I guess he knows about it now. And, like, I feel like that's is that legal? Can you just, like, remake someone's movie?
I guess it depends on who has the rights to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Tommy Wiseau wouldn't have even bothered with it, right? Like, he would have just made it and been like, no, it's my movie.
He'd say it like that, too.
He would.
He would.
What is the point of remaking that movie? Are they intentionally making it bad again?
Or are they making
because
it
that's
better?
why people like that movie.
I don't know. There's a still from the movie, and it looks terrible.
It looks awful.
Yeah,
It's got the same horrible set.
It looks so bad. They look like clouds floating over the top of like a rooftop set.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, did anyone see The Disaster Artist?
I didn't.
It was sort of like a pseudo documentary, also about The Room.
I feel like that's
I mean,
what you do with a property like
yeah,
that.
I thought it was. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I'm also curious to see what a Room remake would be like. I mean, I'm dying to see it. I gotta know.
I'm sure it'll land just like the original.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody will love it who's seen the original.
I mean, I'm
very excited. I love Bob Odenkirk. I mean, I think he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
This is a weird role for him, but I'm glad he did it. I mean, we'll see what it turns out to be.
I bet he nails it. I bet he's amazing.
Sure he does. Another note we should talk about in film world, a huge BBC-like documentary that came out recently with the journalist really uncovering the actual origins of civilization.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Super solid. Caleb,
Really figuring stuff out, she is.
Who is Philomena Kunk?
Yeah, so Kunk on Earth is a Netflix show, recent one, and it follows Philomena Kunk, a reporter who, man, she is so dumb. It is absolutely hilarious. And she interviews people, and I'm pretty sure the people that are being interviewed don't know they're in a mockumentary. They think that it's like an actual documentary. It is phenomenal.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's a British-made mockumentary, I didn't actually say that, about just the history of humanity.
It's
like
highly
5 episodes long. Oh, very accurate. I mean, the interviewees are like really into it, explaining real stuff, but yeah, no, it's...
Are her questions like super misdirected or just like way off course though?
Yes, often. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like this one part, she insists that Beethoven was dead, not deaf, because that's how it's written in the producer's notes. Excellent.
No, he's dead. He's dead.
If you're not a fan of like some dumb humor, maybe you won't like it. But it's also got some pretty highbrow humor too in it. It kind of runs the whole gamut.
Is this a series or is this a movie?
It's a series. It's like 5 episodes, I think.
This has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, by the way.
Oh, dang.
Pretty high.
The only thing I know about this show is that they're like big fans of the 1989 Belgian techno anthem "Pump Up the Jam."
Yes, they are.
I mean, what a good song.
You gotta watch the show, and then you gotta go look at the original YouTube video for "Pump Up the Jam" and just see all the comments. It's excellent.
Love that. Okay. Owen.
Yeah.
Do you love Antonio Banderas?
You know, I fucking love Antonio Banderas.
What's your favorite Antonio Banderas film of all time?
I mean, Zorro?
Yeah,
Good choice.
It'll be Legend of Zorro.
Zorro is the answer because he's so good at it. I mean, Scorpio is also really good. But
you're forgetting the most important one.
Is it the new Puss in Boots movie? Because it's also the new Puss in Boots movie.
I mean, that's a good one. But you're forgetting the most important one, which is 2001 Spy Kids.
I was gonna say Spy Kids too.
Spy Kids.
So
Get out of
good.
here.
It's a
I
classic.
forgot he's in that.
Freaking classic film.
It's great.
Missing it. But anyway, Puss in Boots 2.
Yeah.
Recent release, right? Did you go watch it?
Yeah, no, I watched it a couple weeks ago with my girlfriend, and I would have to just just start ringing alarms because this movie's so fucking good. Like, I wasn't expecting this to be good. We watched like all of the Shreks and all of the Puss in Boots in like one weekend, and of course, like, you know, you get past Shrek 3 and the quality starts going down, and like Puss in Boots was kind of like meh. And
But
then
Shrek
this
3,
one,
still very good. Still top notch.
like, and so then there's like this, and we're just like, all right, you know, like we'll watch it, and we're like, hey, this is like ridiculously good, like unbelievably so. And through the entire movie, my girlfriend and I are just watching it, and we're just like, wow, this looks absolutely amazing. The art style is just breathtakingly beautiful. It's like nothing else you've seen. It's so pretty. And the plot is really good. It's a heartfelt fucking message. I'm weeping at the end like I'm watching a goddamn Pixar film. And I'm just like, what is going on? Because I went in thinking that this was going to be utter garbage, and we ended up being like, if this doesn't win an Oscar, like just flip a table, man. Like something is wrong. This deserves an Oscar.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's
No one
man,
listened to
high
Wow
praise.
Noise.
I just need to let people know. Do not sleep on this. Go watch it wherever you can. It's way better than you think it's gonna be.
Okay.
95%
best-
on Rotten Tomatoes.
I've heard
Best
a lot of
Shrek
good
movie?
things. That's it.
Best Shrek movie.
No answer.
I've heard a
No
lot
answer.
of good things.
I mean, I had like the internet's going crazy about that. When it first came out, it was almost like it
If
was all
it's-
over my homepage on Reddit, and
If it's
everybody was like
Oscar
freaking out
worthy,
about
I
it.
think by default it has to be the best Shrek movie, right?
I mean, if there's no
True
Shrek,
that.
is it a Shrek movie?
Oh,
Shrek
that's a great
first.
point.
What if you just see like
Shrek.
a blur of green in the background? And you just assume
It's
that's
in the
Shrek.
background.
You just hear donkey.
Okay.
Puss in Boots is not the only movie you saw though recently.
Yeah, no. Also, in that weekend of just watching a fuck ton of movies, we saw Ant-Man. We're real busy. Don't see Ant-Man.
Wow.
Skip that. Go ahead and
Man.
put that.
The trailer didn't look incredible, not gonna lie. And also, this current phase of Marvel is like really
bad.
hit or miss.
Yeah.
We're on phase 5 now, okay? This is a different phase.
This starts a new
If this
phase?
is the start of Phase
No.
5, it's
No.
pretty bad.
Wakanda Forever was the start of phase
Oh
5.
yeah, it's pretty
Man,
bad.
phase 4 was just an absolute dumpster fire.
you got
What
Shang-Chi.
happened?
You are not wrong.
So are we just not doing Avengers movies anymore? I thought that was like the thing, was you had an Avengers, you had a bunch of these little movies and then an Avengers movie, and that was how you ended a phase. Sometimes you had a Spider-Man movie at the end too, for some reason.
That was apparently only for the Infinity Gauntlet storyline of things.
Well, they were
Well,
The
moving.
Infinity Saga, sorry, that's what they call
But
it
like,
these
why
days.
why even call it a phase if you're not going to bookend it at all? Now it's
Right.
just movies. You
It
can't
doesn't
call it a
mean
phase.
anything.
Well, phase 4 is like a transitional phase.
That's
I mean, did they-
nothing. That's garbage.
Did they bookend phase 1 or phase 2 of Marvel? Like, does
I
it
mean,
have
what do
a
you mean?
culminating story?
They had Avengers, the Avengers.
Yeah, you had Age of Ultron at
and
the
then
end
Age
of
of
phase 2.
Ultron, and then Infinity Wars and a Spider-Man movie, and then Endgame.
All right.
Like each of them, like I get that like Age of Ultron was kind of a nothing movie, but it was, hey, the gang's all here. It was like a big movie, and you were like,
Gang's all
oh
here.
wow, it's like big. It's a big movie. All the actors are in it, and now
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, the last one and this one is I don't know, the Eternals. That's our big one this
Boo.
time.
Yeah.
that was a Gangs All Here movie. Different gang.
Yeah, but they invented a whole
introduced the
new
gang.
gang.
Yeah.
New
You
gang.
can't invent a whole gang and then be like, look, we got all your favorites together.
Yeah, like I went to see it because unlike some other people in this cast, and I respect their decisions even though I think that they're wrong. I like the Ant-Man movies because it's a nice fun comedy, and it's also low stakes. It's like, hey, we're just gonna do some hijinks around a city, right? No one's having a beam of light. There's no beam of light. There's no
no sky beam.
world-ending. Yeah, there's no like world-ending plot device. It's just kind of like shenanigans.
So beam of light is the deciding factor on what's like large scale.
I mean,
Name one big movie that doesn't have a beam of light.
Yeah.
You can't. It's impossible.
And
You're not wrong though. Like it's a very lighthearted version of a Marvel film. Like it doesn't really feel heavy. Even the first two films. I love Paul Rudd, Michael Pena. I mean, they deliver, and you don't. It's just like light comedy. Like I didn't really have high expectations for the first movie. Second movie, even less high expectations. So I'm kind of like in that same ballpark for this movie. If I go watch it knowing that, am I going to be disappointed?
I mean, yeah. There's no Michael there. Like like all of his buddies are. There's no Ant-Man buddies. Which
Trying to
I
make
Okay, I'm
Ant-Man,
disappointed.
like, bigger time, right?
yeah, like I
More
understand,
integral to the story.
I understand the purpose of this film because it's like, hey, he was the guy that was fucking around in the quantum world, so you need him to talk about quantum shit. Like that's it is a natural progression of the story and him. And I was like, okay, cool, I get that. But the problem is that when you're making it so epic and so important, and it's like, hey, here's the big bad of the next phase, and we're introducing the big bad, and like this is kicking us all off and everything. I'm just kind of like, I don't care.
He's
like,
the small bad, right?
Yeah, like I'm trying to go in for that fun, local small kind of movie, and instead I'm getting something that's very like I mean, there is a scene in that I looked over at Allison and was like, if you didn't have Paul Rudd in this, I swear I'd be watching Star Wars. Like the costuming of the characters and the costuming of the heroes in that scene are just so Star Wars like that I
And the
could not tell it was
lightsabers
a
and the
Marvel
Force that they use, you know.
Don't you?
Isn't
You like
everything
Star Wars,
at
though,
this point?
right?
I do like Star Wars, and I don't think it's wrong, but I think it's like if you're going for Ant-Man and then you get Star Wars, you're like, this isn't what I was signing up for. This is different.
Well,
so that was kind of the
I'll probably still see it at some point because until I decide to stop watching any Marvel movie, I have to keep up with all of them.
Again, Alex, every time you talk, it's like this. I'll probably still see it at some point. As red is just on your face.
What
it just seems so angry.
Bruce Wayne? Like, what's going on here?
I will say the one just absolute best part of it is Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors acts so good in that movie that, like, just go see Jonathan Majors act. It's so fucking, like, I would recommend seeing it solely for that. He just does that good of a job.
I heard he's incredible in Creed 3. Like,
maybe I haven't seen Creed 3.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that he's also super good there. But like that man can act so well that I want to see everything that he's ever in because it's just so good. And so to have him as like, hey, here's the reoccurring big bad for the next Marvel thing, I'm like applauding because I cannot wait to see him show up more. I am eager to see him show up more. I am like, yeah, this is going to be a good villain. I'm excited for this arc. I am excited to see him be this villain. Like, this is going to be so good. It just sucks that this is the movie to start all of this off with. It's like, oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, hopefully they recover. They can only go up from phase 4 or phase 5. What was the last phase? 4?
4.
Yeah, they can only go up from there.
If they kind of like came out and announced that they were just exploring different stories, nothing was going to connect, etc., I feel like phase 4 could have been interesting and cool if we got like mini stories and that was like what they were going for. But they never really said anything, and they said it was a phase, so it just all seemed to like it should have connected, and it didn't, and it was just weird.
Well, it's also like, you think about it, I mean, like, the Infinity Saga is probably one of the most recognizable Marvel properties as far as, like, the characters who are involved, the story arc that's involved. And then when you get done with that, when that is, like, capitalized on and completed, where do you go from there? Because, like, there's not a lot of giant story arcs you can do that are as captivating as that one is. So I think they just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
And I think that's kind of what they did, is they did exactly that. It was just like, hey, here's the phase where we're just going to like throw some shit at the wall. We're just going to play around. We're going to just like make some kind of whatever movies and see, we'll see what people like, we'll cap off some characters. So that way you kind of have some resolution of, like what's Thor's ending gonna be? Okay, cool. Here's the Thor ending. He becomes the dad. There you go. He's Daddy Thor now. Like, so like I feel like it was just kind of some of that stuff was just like, let's just kind of put a couple things in the back burner to kind of wrap some stuff up, and also like get some entrees out, see if anyone's eaten any of the hors d'oeuvres before we kind of like get into the meat and potatoes of like what will be the next multi-arc kind of thing.
They also got edgy and like titled a movie one thing and then made another main character the main character of the movie. So it's like it's cool stuff. Cool
I
stuff.
feel like you're referencing something else as well. Can't quite place it. It'll come to me. You must be talking about that Scarlet Witch movie.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know why
Scarlet
Doctor
Witch movie's so
Strange
good.
was the main character of that one.
One other thing I wanted to mention, speaking of just really good content that's been adapted, The Last of Us. I was recently reading an article about how it's the highest rated video game adaptation of all time. And this is a average IMDb rating between the game and the series that has actually been made.
Well, that must not be counting the Assassin's Creed movie, right?
Well,
because
that's
that was
excluded because it's so much better
it's
than
so
everything
good,
else.
right?
What about Mortal
That makes
Kombat?
sense.
What about Sonic?
Okay,
Sonic,
so-
people do like Sonic.
That's really.
I do want to go
Sonic.
through this just like real quick. I know I already did a list, but I just want to like walk you through this real
We've got
quick
a
so you can
second
understand
list.
the top 10. It's a
Oh my
second
gosh,
list,
2
guys.
lists,
Why
one
didn't you start
podcast.
with
What
this
is
list?
this?
We
Well, I
thought
didn't
about
notice
lists
it
for like
before, and I
10
was like-
minutes.
I was Googling while we were talking, like, all right, how am I going to transition this? I was like, oh, what a good list.
Jesus Christ.
I know,
This
it's the
segue is
worst.
amazing.
Isn't it? All right, so importantly, we'll just go 10 to 1 here. Obviously, you know, The Last of Us is number 1, so that's not as important, but Legend of Zelda is number 10. Apparently, there was a 1989 Legend of Zelda. I did not know this. Mass Effect, which has Mass
it's
Effect
5.
Paragon Lost from 2012.
Is that an animated movie?
It must be. It
No
is
idea what
rated
that
a
is.
5.8 on IMDb, so it can't be great, while the game is
Sure
holding it
it's
at
not.
9.1.
Yikes.
Number 9, tied for number 9 also is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Also tied for number 9 is Earthworm Jim.
Oh yeah, dude.
There was
They made an
Earthworm
Earthworm
Jim.
Jim movie. Intriguing.
Yes, there was, 1995. Number 8's Gangs of London. They made a 2020 film, Gangs of London.
Wait, that's based on a movie or a game?
It is based on a game from 2006. Yes.
Okay.
Number 7, Dragon Age Origins, because they had Dragon Age Absolution last year.
What? What?
Poor-
What?
Yeah.
Poorly rated,
It's a
6.4.
Netflix show, right?
I think it was a Netflix show, yes.
What? I love Dragon Age, and I've literally never heard of that in my entire life.
Well, I mean, check it out. Dragon Age Absolution 2022.
Sounds like don't check it out.
Yeah,
A 6.4 is not great.
It's pretty bad.
Number 6 is Tron. It makes sense. Tron Uprising, absolutely phenomenal film, 2012. Number 5, I don't know that I necessarily agree with this, but we'll take it. Halo Combat Evolved and Halo, the 2022 series that
Okay.
they put
They're
out.
rating that good?
They rated
I
it
mean-
a 7.1, but Halo Combat Evolved is so high that it offsets, so the average is like a 7.95.
Don't you get to see Master Chief's butt in that show, right?
That's what I've heard.
Is that actually
10. I mean,
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I don't see why
Wait, are we
anyone
doing-
would rate that low.
Are we doing worst video game adaptations?
This is the best, video
best.
game. It's the
But
best.
it's based on
best
an average.
average.
It's based on an average between the game and the show. All right,
So it has
so
to be a good game to begin with.
yeah,
Mm.
well,
Like even count.
number four. This makes sense. Castlevania,
Okay, good.
Oh,
There's
sure.
Castlevania. Yep.
2017. Its average rating is 8.05 across the board. Number
Here's
3.
Sorry,
ahead.
can I just?
Yeah.
So when you do say something like Castlevania, there's like a billion Castlevania games.
Original Castlevania, 1986.
Okay, because like I had the same question for Sonic, because like early Sonic highly rated, new
91 Sonic,
badly
yep.
rated. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I
True.
think most of these are based on like the first implementation of
first.
whatever that is.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Number 3, League of Legends, Arcane, absolutely phenomenal
Oh,
show.
yeah, sure.
So that checks out.
Yep.
Number 2, everybody probably could guess this, The Witcher.
Oh.
Yep.
Above Arcane, that's weird.
I would have
it's
put
weird.
Arcane
It's
higher.
because the
It's 'cause
game
League
is rated
sucks.
so much higher.
Mm,
League of
that makes
Legends.
sense. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Because League sucks. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
But importantly, like the
It's
League,
no
The
Dota.
Witcher at number 2, its average rating is an 8.3. The Last of Us, the game rating is a 9.7 on IMDb. The adaptation is a 9.1 on IMDb, which is a 9.4 overall. So it's a whole percentage point or a whole point in front of The Witcher.
The Witcher's tough too, right? Because there was a Witcher 1 that basically
Yeah.
nobody liked.
True.
Witcher 2 got like a cult following, and then Witcher 3 was like the biggest game that came out in whatever year it came out. Like it's massive now.
Is
but
it
like the first
based
one,
on
nobody
The Witcher
gives a
3,
shit
this
about.
list?
It is based on the first one, 2007.
Okay.
Really
Yep,
weird.
and it has an 8.5 on IMDb.
Wow.
That higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, first of all, I love Pedro Pascal. I just started watching this series. I freaking love it. It's super well done. And the cool thing to me is I really like when we have like I have crossovers with people that don't interact with either video games or tabletop RPGs, and all of a sudden something comes out and they have like this common ground of something they can talk about with me that they wouldn't normally talk about. So this is one, obviously.
Don't talk to me.
The new Dungeons and Dragons movie that's coming out. I've had multiple people mention this to me that don't play Dungeons and Dragons or anything like it. They're just like, "Oh man, I know you play something like you play D&D, right? Like, oh, this is pretty cool, right? I mean, like, are you excited about this, Chris Pine?" Blah blah blah. I like having those conversations because it makes my worlds collide, and that doesn't happen very often. Because most of the time when people make an adaptation, it's not great. It's not like to the highest of high tiers, which is like the Assassin's Creed movie, which is why that's not even on this list.
Too good.
I'm
Yeah, I mean,
surprised the Dead or Alive movie isn't on this list, to be
Also
honest.
too good.
Honestly,
Mortal
Tekken
Kombat, too good.
adaptation, probably the
Tekken.
best.
Yeah.
Street Fighter.
Where's Ed
Wait,
Runners?
which Mortal Kombat movie?
Yeah,
That's what I really
not
want to
on
know.
here.
The
It's gotta
first
be
one, the newest one.
It's got to be the first one. Newest
There
one.
you go.
Boring.
Can I consider Edge Runners an adaptation because it's a side story?
Probably not. That isn't like a direct. I mean, did it a side story? I don't know.
I feel like it would count, right? I mean, like, because The Witcher, also, the games,
Yeah.
as far as I know, don't tell the same story at all. Same character, I guess.
There's some
Okay.
similar questing, but yes, you're on a kind of different. It's a different retelling of the story because, like, there's definitely different things of like the Wild Hunt is
I
like
guess-
shows up in the Netflix show, but like is like more prominent of a thing in the games. So like,
I mean, now that I think about it a little more, right, that it still follows Geralt, right? Whereas Edge Runners, you're V in the game, and this is about,
Something
completely
completely
V isn't
different.
even involved at all,
Right,
and neither is
right.
Johnny Silverhand. Like, the two most important characters don't exist, so that's fair.
The last thing I'll say about this Last of Us is that it has also the highest search volume per month over any other game or any other adaptation of a game in the year it was released. So they average about 301,000 searches, whereas Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is number 2, gets 246,000. So clearly people are excited to watch this show. And I don't know. I really like, again, that there's this like crossover between groups of people that don't normally play video games. We can talk about something that's totally unrelated, that they're not even like, this is not something they'd ever touch. I'm like, sports! I'll talk to them about sports, but they don't talk to me about tabletop RPGs or video games or anything like that. Now we have that opportunity, so it's
Sure.
fun.
I
Very
feel like
fun.
it's funny for me, because I guess I'm like a closet nerd at work. I don't usually talk about that kind of stuff at work, just because, like, I feel like the reaction is either going to be, I don't know or care about that, or bad. So I'm like, I just won't bring it up. So then, like, when my coworkers are like, oh yeah, I was watching The Last of Us, I had to, like, not go, oh yeah, I played that, like, ages ago. Because, like, then my secret would be revealed.
Yeah,
And I'd be laughed out of the room.
You say that and they just instantly shun you. Is that what's
Yeah,
through
that's
your
the
head?
fear. That's the
you
fear.
played the
We're like,
game?
wait, you played the game? Oh,
And then they
nerd.
So-
throw up on
I-
their computer, and then I
they
get
all,
fired.
Then they all push you to the ground and kick you.
This checks out. Last night I was at a poker night with some guys. They do not play video games. They do not play tabletop RPGs. The furthest they've gone into a board game is, and they call it Catan. So like, that's as far as it goes for them. And I just casually brought up, we were talking about series, and somebody said, well, how about, has anybody seen The Last of Us? And they're like, multiple were like, oh yeah, I think episode 8 just dropped. They're like, have you seen it? And I'm like, no, but I played both the games and I freaking love them. They're the best narrative in a game I've ever played. And so, of course, to them, it's like, you would think their reaction is immediately, what a freaking weirdo. Played the game? Gosh, nerd. But really, honestly, I don't get that experience anymore. I've stopped being a closet nerd. Even at work, a whole bunch of people know we do this podcast. A whole bunch of people know that we do
I would
Discord and
die.
Signal at this point. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed by it. I love it. This is like me. This is real me. I hate being that fake, like, sports.
That is how I sound at work. You should use this power, though, to set him up like, man, yeah, Joel, what a fun, lovable character. I can't wait to see him in season 2. He gets up to some real fun stuff. Season 2. Buckle up, y'all.
Little hijinks.
I should.
Just really set him up for disappointment.
All right, last but not least in our film section, we should talk about an absolutely phenomenal 3rd season of one of the best shows that Netflix has ever... Wait a second. No. This is Outer Banks season 3. Chad.
Oh yeah, I was about to start this off with, we just talked about a good show. Let's talk about a. So
Hey,
Outer Banks has never
watch, you might
been
say.
the best TV, I would say. I mean, it's
But
always
John
been
B,
one of
though.
those. I mean, it's been one of those really cool, kooky adventures that you can kind of tag along with the teenagers.
Kook E? Did you do it on purpose?
Yes. Anyways, Outer Banks 1 was kind of cool. You kind of followed the teenagers going on this like treasure hunt that the father, who has since passed away, kind of left behind for his son, John B. There's a divide between the kooks, which are like the rich people, and the pogues, which are the poor people.
Wow.
It's like a divide on the island.
And this is in Outer Banks, North Carolina, by the way.
Yeah, Outer Banks. So
Sure.
Outer Banks 1, kind of cool, like kind of good. 10 episodes of solid, interesting take on a new story. Outer Banks 2, it was good in the beginning, then it shifted towards this weird, like, it's no longer a summary, like, treasure hunty vibe. It's more, it's breaking into that level of National Treasure, where they're pulling off stunts that are way too crazy to ever actually pull off, such as, like, stealing the Declaration of Independence. They don't actually do that, but there's just like a bunch of stuff that their teenagers shouldn't be able to be doing, and they're doing it anyways. Outer Banks 3 comes out.
Mom, Dad, can I borrow a truck? I just need to go steal this cross. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
All right,
this
be
very
safe. Here's a
solid
phone.
giant
Here's a
cross.
phone.
Yeah, here's my truck, like whatever. Outer Banks 3 comes out, and they get even more chaotic with basically just spoiler alert. At the end of Outer Banks 2, they end up on a deserted island.
Don't spoil me.
And
Don't
then
spoil Outer Banks 3.
basically you would think that Outer Banks season 3 would have been like their voyage on how they survived on this deserted island into being saved, into maybe credits rolling, and that's it. They get saved the first episode.
Okay,
So
first
that's
of all,
cool.
you can't even say the first episode. You got to say they get saved in the first 12 minutes.
Did you actually watch this?
Yeah, I'm like on episode 5 or something.
Wow.
I thought I was the only one that watched this.
No.
So yeah, they get saved within the first like 5 minutes of the first episode, and then like it just begins this whole like, oh my gosh, El Dorado, and you're like, oh great, El Dorado. Okay, so that's Outer Banks 3. It's a good one. It's a watch. It's okay.
I thought the show was like some sort of weird reality TV thing.
Oh no,
Man, when you see trailers for this show, it is totally different than what the trailers look like.
Oh,
Okay.
I've
yeah,
never
because
actually
you're
seen trailers for
selling
that
me
show.
on this like, oh, El Dorado? I might watch something about
It's-
El Dorado. It's like, this seems dumb, but I'd watch it.
It's like half teen drama, half
Yeah. It's good stuff.
like treasure hunting. Yeah, I mean, it is right up Alex's alley for
Is it-
sure.
I'm imagining a CW show. How far
Yeah,
off
yeah.
am I?
Not
Okay.
far.
I
Okay.
wouldn't say that the drama goes to CW lengths.
Okay.
I think it's a little under that, but there are moments where you're looking at the characters, you're like, just have a conversation. One conversation could have fixed all of this.
Yeah,
Sure.
that definitely happens regularly. And also, like, they escalate things out of nowhere for no
Oh, yeah.
reason whatsoever. And I'm always just like, wait, why couldn't you have just gone up and just like, I don't know, talk to that person for just 2 seconds? Like, you don't pull
That's
a gun. What? Okay, sure.
No, if you haven't seen it and you like kind of the treasure hunty, puzzly aspects and like somewhat teen drama mixed with like a summary vibe, Outer Banks season 1 it's a pretty good one. Season 2 it's pretty good. Honestly, once you watch those two, I mean, you kind of have to continue the story. I think they're only going to go till Outer Banks 4, so I mean, just finish off the 4th one when it comes out.
I can't believe it didn't get canceled by Netflix after all the shows that they cancel. This seems like prime Netflix cancellation material.
Yeah.
I can't believe I watched this show. Every time we talk about it and we talk about like the context of the show and like what it's about,
Yeah.
it just doesn't fit in my normal.
Yep.
Not
That's
at
why.
all. It's just-
That's
I don't
like
know.
I was surprised that you watched the first 2 seasons, and I thought you were just not going to watch this one. That's why I was like, "You've seen it?"
John B, baby, John B.
Might have to do a side monitor viewing at some point. Sounds like prime side monitor content.
Well, it's something. Yeah,
It's
sure.
certainly
Side monitor
content.
content. Wait, didn't you watch like Emily in Paris on your side monitor?
Yeah, prime
Okay.
side monitor show.
Side monitor content. That's probably on par with Emily in Paris. Yeah, I'd take that.
Why?
What do you mean why? What do you mean why?
Why?
It's like a show. It has to be a show like that you don't have to look at to still.
Right? Yeah, but why that one?
I don't know.
Like, what part of it made you go, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one. That's what I want."
Partial to chick flicks sometimes. It just hits a spot.
Sometimes.
Oh, oh.
Get out of here, dude.
I can watch
This
my fair
guy
share
has
of chick flicks.
downloaded every single Hallmark movie that was ever made.
Wow, that's a lot. Probably.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
All right,
Hypothetically, I downloaded all of the Hallmark Christmas movies. Nobody can use this in court.
All right. Well, listen. If you like treasure hunting, you like team drama, Outer Banks is great. It's got an absolutely, of course, cohesive story. It makes total sense. Just go watch it. Other things that have cohesive stories as we jump into video games.
my
We should
God.
probably talk
We did
about the Veil and the radial mast.
Oh, the
and
radial
fact that
mast?
there's an entire freaking civilization on Neptune, even though we've been searching the stars. Destiny 2. Some of the best, I don't know, story, not necessarily story writing, but some of the best like universe story building, world building ideas in video games. They're like, all right, Lightfall, this is definitely a cohesive story. Let's just publish now. Just press the button. Let's go. You guys loved it, right?
Man,
It was like a week of filler episodes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the one person who doesn't know the Destiny story very well, this felt like every other Destiny story.
Oh my
To me.
god.
You just show up and it's like, oh, you gotta go solve all the problems, and you go and it's like, oh no, the MacGuffin, and you gotta get that MacGuffin.
Yeah, but usually they
so you
try
go
to
get it.
explain the MacGuffin at all.
Yeah, but it's usually
This time
like
they just said the name and they moved on. They never once tried to
honestly,
explain any of it.
that's all I need. I don't care that it's like the Dothraki are gonna come through it. What fucking whatever. It's a thingamabob. I gotta go get it.
Usually
Cool.
they try, right? They try somewhat usually. This time, literally the name of the thing and no other information.
I don't understand
mean,
what part of the radial mass confusing.
It gives you it does give you information. The information is the world will collapse if we don't.
We don't even
Get
know
it
if the world will
first.
collapse. We just know something vaguely bad will happen.
Do you want something vaguely bad to happen? I rest my case.
no.
Go get that mask. Get that
Yeah.
mask, boy.
All right. For like pause for a second before we like continue down this road. We should probably let everybody know who hasn't played Lightfall that this is Destiny's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. This is their 5th expansion since launch in 2017, Destiny 2. And it was probably the least cohesive storyline of any launch. Forsaken, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall. This has got to be the worst, right? Out of all of them?
In terms of story, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. In terms of visuals, definitely not. This is
Cool
amazing.
visuals.
Incredible visuals.
I like Strand a lot. Strand's the new subclass.
Strand is
Alex,
cool.
we're talking about Destiny 2. Death Stranding is later.
Destiny 2 is a Strand type game now.
I mean, thank God.
It's joined the Strandiverse.
The
Strandiverse. Strandiverse. I think, okay, so obviously we talked about story here for a second. not super great. The visuals are amazing. The new subclass that they've introduced is great. They made some major changes to armor, which I think are key. Armor mods, amazing. I love that they have made the game at least somewhat more accessible for the wider player base.
Right.
For a long time, we spent, like people would just go on the Destiny app every day and be like, "Ooh, what mods is Ada offering?" Because there's no other way to possibly get this. Where now it's just like, look, everybody has access to the same basic things. Basic. We'll keep it at that, basic, because they don't have like the upgraded armor. They don't have all the exotics. They have access to the same basic things, but it puts everybody, I feel like, on a more even field when it comes to participating in PvE and PvP, and even some of the end game content like raids, which we'll talk about here in a second. This makes, I feel like, all of that more accessible, but it's still difficult to achieve like anything of like, go ahead, sorry.
The things that you can chase now make sense. Like the mod system was just stupid before. It was just like you had to log in every day and go buy them, and that was the only way you could get there. Like now it makes sense that there's like this, big exclusive item hidden behind this quest line or whatever. Like you have to chase that, or special ability changing gear will be hidden behind a loot grind of some kind. Like the basic building blocks of making builds is all available to everybody, though.
I think the thing that speaks most broadly to that is that the amount of content that is now published about like, here's the best build for X, whatever it is, PvP, PvE, day one raid. There's so much of that now because everybody has access to the same basic things that everybody else is using. Prior to this, it was like, all right, well, here's like a day one raid setup for a hunter, but half of the armor mods are just behind a wall that you can't access. You can't get those. I think that's a good change, in my opinion. I think that's a really solid change.
And they still have scarcity and like FOMO stuff in places that are okay for it, I think, like seasonal weapons and stuff like that, like stuff that makes it feel special to be playing during the now. That will go away eventually, but it gets replaced by new cool stuff also.
Careful how
Like
far you go with that, though, because that's how vaulting happened.
Sunsetting is bad because it directly took stuff out of your hands. Like if you had a favorite gun that you were already using, sorry, we're taking it from you.
That was a real bad decision. I think they've recognized that.
Didn't play 3 seasons ago and there was like a special scout rifle that you'd missed out on, like that's it's a reward for the people that stuck around for that.
Yeah
Man, in typical Bungie fashion, they implement some nice quality of life updates, but they implement them not as well as they need to be implemented.
Yeah.
Like the loadout system, you can't name your loadouts. They have like a set list of names that you can scroll through to pick one to name your loadout.
And a set list of icons.
Just let me type in the name. I don't know. No idea. They do weird stuff like that.
I can't even imagine a reason for that. That's insanity.
Yeah, it's wild.
They need to give players something to complain about. They fixed a lot of things. They're like, we can't fix everything.
I mean, they gave us Lightfall. They gave us plenty to complain about. Come on.
It's just funny because
got them.
Like the build system is so good, and I have 2 different solar builds that I have, and I just named them Solar and Solar because like I don't know what else to do.
Right?
Alpha and beta, bro.
Alpha and beta, like you could do that, I guess. But what does that mean? Nothing.
Yeah.
I have like 2 solars or 2 voids or whatever. One of them is actually named Raid though. One of them's named Void or something.
I made
colors.
the first solar one like a darker orange, and the second solar one a lighter orange.
You just hover over and you know which one it is. I mean,
it's still dumb though.
It would
it's
be
still
nice
dumb, yeah.
Name them.
Go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say, I mean, how hard is that to be like, hey, type in something?
Right.
Like,
Can't be
that
that
hard.
hard.
It's not hard.
I'll be honest with you. I look at Destiny's user experience, and it's just it's bad. Like,
Dude,
all
you
of
play
it.
Call of Duty.
Okay. I never said Call of Duty was good.
Two wrongs don't make a right, Aaron.
Having to try to find a legendary lost sector, and you have to click on individual
Every
planets
location.
and escape back out, and then click back in. Finally, you're just like, I'm just gonna Google it. Like, F
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even worth it.
Yeah, it's not great.
Call of Duty used to be good, where it was just lists of stuff, and I think that's what they need to do. It's just have lists.
Luckily, they've implemented. There's a lot of people who've implemented tools to help you better figure out how to navigate the universe of Destiny. Whether it's today in Destiny, finding like the specific things that are on rotation, or it's light.gg telling you what the god rolls are on weapons, or it's the Destiny app, which is actually great, grabbing bounties while you're in orbit. You don't have to go visit every single vendor for a bounty. That's awful.
What's funny is so I've been playing Jake's account during the day when he doesn't.
You can't say like
can't.
I've been playing like it's casual. You said to me the other day, I started playing at like 8 and I didn't put it down the controller until 6.
Yeah.
Wow, he played
AM.
-2 hours.
I grinded Nightfall straight until 6 a.m. one night.
Lord.
So I've been playing it, and I have access to his account because he gave me that, but I haven't bothered him to get access to like Destiny Item Manager or anything like that. And so anytime I'm interacting with his vault, I'm using the in-game system, which is just
so
god
bad.
awful. It's just a page of unorganized junk in this lists of them.
Man,
And
I didn't know there was
mine's
a way
bad.
to interact with it outside of.
Oh,
the
there's
game.
so
What's
many.
so funny is like even in this menu on the side, it has a little image of a phone and it says companion apps. Enhance your Destiny experience with apps designed by Bungie to talented Destiny fans.
Why don't they just put that into the fucking game?
Good question.
It's so funny because they're like, we know this menu is super bad. You should probably just use a third-party tool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
One thing we haven't
So
mentioned, which
weird.
we need to mention, the new subclass does come with a grappling hook.
It does have a grappling
Yeah.
hook. I was surprised nobody said it, because that is my favorite part of Destiny now, is the grappling hook.
I
It's
was just about to
great.
say we've been pooping on Destiny for a second. Let's talk about the qualities of Lightfall and what Bungie is actually good at. Implementing the new
Grappling
subclasses
hooks.
is great. The grappling hook is very fun. The subclass feels very different than all of the other subclasses. Actually, just like I feel like Stasis felt very different from the other 3 subclasses. So this is just like another implementation of that. I feel like very good. Good job. The other thing I think they do a really good job at is making sure that after you've played the campaign, you still have content that is approachable and fun, yet like hard to accomplish. It's like the next level. You could play the Lightfall campaign on normal, really kind of a cakewalk. You can play it on legendary if you want a challenge. Not super hard, but still more difficult. And then the next step is like more complicated content. Like you start going after some exotics that they've done, which this season there's actually a lot. I think there's 4, maybe 5 exotics that you can go after from this season, which is exciting. I love that. I love being able to chase after exotics. That's one of the best parts of the game.
Some of those have like cool missions associated with them. It's
Yeah.
unique content.
Yeah, the new secret mission is some of the best content we've ever played in Destiny. The one we got for what's that scout rifle called? The one where you're jumping on the ship and you're in 0G. And then there's the Siva weapon. Whatever that one's called. All those
Outbreak
missions
Perfected.
are Outbreak Perfected. Thank you. All those missions are great. They're fun. They're enjoyable. They're unique. It's like a different approach that Destiny takes with the player, and I think all that's really good. The other thing that they also do that I think that they're very effective at doing are dungeons and raids. We haven't really touched base on this, but some of the best sort of end game content that Bungie produces are the dungeons, which are 3-player dungeons, and the raids, which is the big one, which are 6-player raids. And we as a group are, I guess our fire team of 6, I guess technically probably 8 that we rotate people in and out of, we have done all but one of the raids that have existed in Destiny. We haven't done the most recent one, and we haven't done the one that drops tomorrow, obviously.
I feel like I see stats all the time that like only like 15-20% of the player base has ever done a raid.
Yeah, isn't that crazy when you
Really?
think about it?
It's hard to get a group of 6.
It is. It's hard to get a group of 6 that can commit to like 4 to 6 hours on a non-contest mode raid. Like contest mode raid is even harder. Jake,
I mean,
hope,
maybe.
I hope you know what you're getting yourself into.
I
think
don't
that's
really,
also-
but I'll find out.
I think that's also just MMO status is, because like you look at raids in like WoW or Guild Wars or other MMOs, it's like I think they're avoided as well by the majority of people because it's like content that's harder, and then you have to like communicate with people. You have to socialize.
Socializing is hard, man.
I mean, organizing in general is hard. Like, it's so much easier now, at least in WoW, to be part of a guild that's got a Discord and all of your shit is like inside of that Discord than back in the day when I remember like people would have to literally be building websites to be able to tell you like this is who's on the roster and this is what we're up to. Like it was a pain to have that figured out back 10 years ago.
It's interesting to me to see how we as a group have evolved, because I assume a lot of people who've dabbled in raids throughout the years have probably also evolved the way we have. Like, we did our very first raid, which was, I think, the Leviathan raid, it's a great raid. It's super fun. I'm sad that it's been vaulted. Hopefully they bring it back at some point. But we did that first raid, and it was just kind of like, whatever, you just bring in whatever you have for your setup. We didn't care about, like, PvE versus PvP loadouts. It wasn't, like, optimized. We weren't figuring out what subclasses worked for each character, how many Titans versus Warlocks versus Hunters were going in. Whereas now, Alex has spent the last, like, 85 hours researching the exact
percentages. You just said we as a group have evolved. You're only targeting Alex here.
I mean, for what it's worth, like, all of us we've changed for one way or the other. Like, I now have
the game has changed too.
It has, but
like, I think pre Armor 2.0, you had much less options for what you could do on a specific class.
That's true. It's definitely true.
And then now that we basically have like Armor 3.0, essentially, even though they're not calling it that, like, there's even more diversity, I think.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think we have a lot of people who are publishing content. They're like, I've tried out this build. It feels really good. Here's the pros and the cons of this loadout. This might be a good day one thing. That's like all of my TikTok right now. Everything I scroll through is just...
It's all my YouTube
Here's
as well.
a Hunter build.
My YouTube recommends have changed to entirely Destiny.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken so much Destiny that the overlords have overheard us.
That's
and
true.
Our algorithms are now Destinied up.
That's true. I mean, I am going to get a bunch of content about like the history of the USB cord at this point, but it'll still be a lot of Destiny too.
You'll probably see the EU mandate.
I will. I'm certain of that. All right. Well, that's Destiny. Super fun. We are going to be streaming tomorrow night. We're going to be on day one raid of the new raid. What's it called again? Does anybody remember?
Root of Nightmares.
Root of Nightmares. Thank you. Last year we did, technically it wasn't a brand new raid, but we did King's Fall on launch day, which is called contest mode. It's way more difficult than the raid when it's outside of contest mode. So we only made it past, I think, the second real
past
checkpoint.
Totems. Yeah,
past totems. But we were one, like our group of 6 was one of 160,000 players that made it past the second stage, which was really cool.
Yeah, but this time you called in a ringer, so...
We did call in a ringer.
Yeah, you did.
You guys should be okay.
Derek's still in the group, so I don't know how this is going to work out, but we'll try it.
We
have 5
thought he
for
was the
Derek.
ringer. I thought he was the ringer.
Yeah, the ringer.
Is he not?
We'll see. Anyways, tomorrow, I think we're going to start streaming probably around like 3 Central, 4 Eastern.
Okay.
I don't know, Jake. It kind of depends on you.
It
But
depends on when Jake's available.
Yeah.
Sometime
I'll
I'll
check
check my
then.
schedule.
Yeah. But anyway, come check that out. That'll be really fun. Very excited for the new raid. It's going to be a blast. Also in video game world, we should probably talk about the Dragon Ball Breakers sequel.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Breakers, everyone's favorite game.
Yeah.
No, they announced a new freaking Budokai game.
What's
Yeah, they
Budokai?
did.
It's their original fighting game. It was like a fighting game on the PS2, Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I played
I had it on the GameCube. Yeah.
so much Budokai.
Yeah,
it was
dude.
so much fun. Huge cast of characters, very approachable, very fun. A whole story mode that basically played through the whole Dragon Ball Z saga,
Wow.
but in fighting game form. And they announced a new one like yesterday, 2 days ago.
It's like a 3D fighter too. Like, it's an arena. It's not just like a 2D plane.
The old ones,
So-
at least Budokai 2 was at least like 3D, more like Tekken. You could dodge left and right.
Yeah. Tenkaichi was actually an arena.
Okay. So when you say arena, that's more like what... It was one of the more recent games that they released. Shoot, hang on. I'll look it up.
Kind of like those Naruto games, I guess.
Xenoverse is what I'm thinking.
Xenoverse, maybe, yeah.
Because I played a little Xenoverse, and I could not stomach it. I didn't like it very much. So hopefully it's
We'll
not
see
exactly like that.
how
I'm
this
hoping
game turns
Budokai... I'm hoping that means it is more of like a fighting game, and less of like a run around this big open area.
button
and
masher.
Yeah, right. Because that
Yeah.
I would be a lot less interested in that than like a proper fighting game.
Well, there's a lot of people excited about it, so it's probably going to be more fighting gamey.
I would hope.
I'm
I'm
excited for
a
it.
little surprised they didn't just say Fighters Z2, Fighters A,
Yeah.
maybe.
They're still trying to support that one, I think, for the time being, because like they still have that rollback netcode patch coming.
Oh, that's not out? I thought that already came out.
I think they said like it might be out now. I think it was supposed to come out early this year sometime.
Interesting. Just with how big that was, I'm a little surprised that they didn't just go like, why would we bring Budokai back? Just keep working on Fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think
guess
it'll
it's
be-
different studios, but
How
You
long
think
has it
it'll
been
have-
since the last one?
I think like 14 years, I think is what
I was
Naruto
gonna- I was
said.
going to say 17, but
It's
I don't
been
know.
a long frickin' time.
Think they'll
Are
do
we-
a full big campaign like the old game, or is it going to be more like
I
recent fighting
would
games
hope so.
and have like almost nothing?
I really don't know. I feel like fighting games are in a weird spot. I feel like Street Fighter 6, I feel like they've really been talking up their single player mode.
Mhm.
And maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part, but I feel like they've talked about like, yeah, there's going to be a whole campaign. You're going to learn all these moves, and there's going to be like this RPG stuff, and I'm like, yeah. That's what I like. I like a space where I can actually try to get good at a game before I just go online and get dumpstered over and over and over and over and over again for a few hours. Like the chance to be like, oh, this is like what a combo looks like. Here's the input for a fireball. I know it now because I've done it 100 times against bots.
Yeah.
Like I love Guilty Gear Strive, but the fact that my only practice is basically against you guys or going online and getting dumpstered for a few hours. Like there's nowhere I can just like go in and be like, okay, let me see if I can try to figure out, Bridget's combos. Like I guess there is an arcade mode, but it's like 4 fights in a row with no story.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yikes.
AI is not that good.
Like old Budokai went through the whole Z saga, so and they
Mhm.
show in the trailer they show basically nothing, but they show blue hair Goku. So
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe-
I really hope they do that. I think that'd be so cool.
maybe they do like the whole Z saga plus Super now.
I mean, that'd be dope as hell. Like, that'd be so cool. I just want more single player content. I want to play fighting games, but I'm not good enough to just like, yeah, I'm just gonna hop on competitive ladder. I'm gonna play for a few hours, get like bottom tier bronze, just hang out there for a few years. Like that's not gonna be fun for me. I'm not gonna enjoy that. So
In the
high
realm-
hopes, but we know nothing. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
The trailer is really good, I think. It shows basically nothing, but it is a like old CRT TV with old Budokai footage on it. And it like slowly zooms in, and then you finally get like all the way zoomed in, and it's like a full nice high res like widescreen image, and it's like
Well, that does sound cool.
That's good.
detailed
I like when they do that.
environment, new Goku.
Mm-hmm. Really playing up the nostalgia factor, which
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
much why they made it. I get
Yeah.
it. I was interested.
In the sort of vein of Japanese developers, we should also probably talk about Squeenix and their CEO, Yosuke Matsuda, who is
Nice
on
pronunciation.
his...
Nailed
Thank
it.
you. He is on his way out after being pushed out, essentially. He's been the CEO for 10 years. He was in charge of publishing for Final Fantasy. And he's also been hyping up some NFTs and blockchain. But
Man.
Yeah.
people are tired of that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember. One of his infamous lines was that they wanted what that some people like to play for enjoyment, and that's not the kind of players they're looking for.
Yeah,
Play
to earn.
Yeah, right. They're looking for people who like to play to earn. It was just like the most embarrassing, out of touch thing I've ever read in my entire life.
So
like, just absolutely insane.
His legacy is probably going to be like selling off all their Western developers to invest in NFTs now, right?
I mean, yeah, right. Like, I don't know. I don't know how they let him get away with it for this long.
Sad thing to be remembered for after all the other stuff that Square Enix has done over the last couple decades.
I'm sure he doesn't give a shit. I'm sure he made a bunch of short-term money selling them off. Not that much money, really. If you think about it, they didn't make that much money from the sale. They sold it pretty cheap. But I'm sure he made a decent amount of money. I mean, maybe now they can start turning things around, because I feel like Squeenix has been just hitting L after L after L. Like,
for a while.
They've been on a downward spiral, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's been pretty bad.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake, everyone loves the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But, like, again, that's kind of an easy one, right? It's Final Fantasy VII. It's the most beloved game they've ever made. Of course, everyone loves it. But then, like, the latest Final Fantasy, as far as I'm aware, is basically a laughingstock. Because that was the Chaos Man. Anyone watches Donkey, that's the Chaos guy. Hilarious. Very funny. Not supposed to be funny, but very funny. They sold all their Western studios, they doubled down on the NFTs, they canceled like 50 frickin' live service games. Like, they've just not been making good choices lately. So fingers crossed this is like, you know, their chance to turn the ship around.
We'll see.
I read a quote from like the head guy on Final Fantasy about how he would take it as an insult if anybody referred to the new Final Fantasy as a JRPG.
Oh, you know what? There's a whole discussion about this. I didn't realize a lot of Japanese developers. It's a little bit dated, but they're kind of insulted by the term JRPG.
Really?
Because I think there was a period a few years ago where that style of game was not very popular, so people were using it as like an insult. And so, you know, I think a lot of developers over there kind of have internalized that whenever something's referred to as a JRPG, they still feel like it's an insult. Which is interesting, because it's a very weird name, right? Because it's literally Japanese weird. RPG, which, like, that's not descriptive at all. That's literally just, like, where it's made. But, like, Dark Souls is a Japanese game. It's an RPG. Technically, it's a JRPG. It's obviously not, though. When you say JRPG, you don't mean Dark Souls. You mean Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've heard there's some discourse around, like, should we come up with a better name for it?
Yeah, genre names are weird. Like, MOBA is MOBA's like
so bad.
What does
MOBA's
that mean?
Yeah, I mean, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, 90% of the people who play MOBAs probably don't even know what MOBA stands for. Which is understandable, because it doesn't mean anything, even when you do know what it stands for. It's nothing. So, like, you know. I mean, really, because really, JRPG is just like a turn-based RPG, I feel like.
Yep.
Like, it's got some other connotations to it, like story-focused, more of a focus on, like, characters and story and that kind of stuff. But, like, the literal JRPG just means the Japanese were making games like that for a while, several years ago.
Yep.
All right, last thing from Japan. Let's talk about this crossover between One Punch Man and Overwatch 2, in which I am personally hoping for a Purri Purri Prisoner Sigma skin. I mean, that would just be... I mean, I would take that. I would take Metal Bat. I would take Child Emperor Diva. I would take...
They should have done Zenyatta Bong.
That would be great!
It's a good one, right?
Oh my god.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Where they really messed up was with the Genji skin. Doing Genos instead of Speed of Sound Sonic.
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't do Speed of Sound Sonic.
What they really messed up is they made Kuriko not Moomin Rider. Because then you could have seen her on her bike.
You could have seen her on her bike. That would have been so good.
Moomin Rider.
I'm frustrated, man. I like these skins. I want to get them, but if you get, it's 4 skins. What is it?
Whoa,
Terrible
buddy.
Tornado Kiriko, Saitama Doomfist. It's only 3 actually that you can buy. Mumadin Rider Soldier 76 is earnable in game, and the last one that I'm forgetting is Genos Genji.
Yeah.
And so for all 3 of those skins, along with some voice lines and victory poses, it's about $44 US, which is crazy. That's so much money
Yeah.
for a
You're
game.
almost buying a game.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
the skins.
Y'all, it's a first-person game. All I see of the skin is my hand. Maybe
That's why you
like
gotta
a
emote
gun.
repeatedly. What are you
Yeah,
talking
right.
about?
Yes.
That's right.
It's just like, because like if these were $20, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. If it was $30, I would have hesitated, and then probably I would have been closer to buy it. $44? There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I'm gonna buy that. That's insane.
Yeah, it does
Whenever-
seem like a lot.
I think about that, and then for some reason, what pops into my head is Hollow Knight is $15.
It's ludicrous. Like Hollow Knight's a weird
Wow.
example because it's so much cheaper than it should be. I don't know why that game is as much as it is. It should be like a $40 game.
We need to have Winston be armored gorilla.
Hmm.
There's
I'm
so
just a
many
little on the
good
nose.
combinations here, man. Gosh.
I don't know One Punch Man enough to even think the crossover's decent.
The only
I mean,
skin I
shows
like
any
is the
other anime.
Kiriko one, really.
Saitama Doomfist is. I mean,
Yeah,
as
that's
soon as
pretty
Doomfist came
on
out,
par.
it's like, yeah, it's gotta be him.
I mean, he's got a one-punch voice line.
Yeah, One Punch is all I need. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, he is the One Punch
all
Man.
I need.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Which isn't
like-
the case anymore, really.
Yeah,
But-
no, he needs a
Thank you,
punch and
Chad.
some shots, and maybe
Yeah.
another shot.
They made his punch way weaker, then they brought out the One Punch Man stuff.
Yeah, it's perfect. Nailed it. I don't know,
Uh,
man. I'm just frustrated I can't buy these cool skins because they're $1 bazillion.
So they have that new startup screen where Saitama Doomfist is on there, like doing push-ups. Apparently, if you just sit on that screen long enough, he does 100 push-ups, and then he does 100 sit-ups, and then he does 100 squats.
No
That's
way.
And
amazing.
then
Who
He
has the
leaves the room.
time?
he leaves the room presumably to go on a 10-kilometer run.
That's awesome.
That
Who
is
has
very
the
funny.
time to sit
This
at
is
wait?
Weebs. Your answer is weebs.
No. The answer is the queue time.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say.
that's also fair.
Mm.
You're waiting
Holy
in queue.
shit, our
What
queue
else are you
time is
gonna do?
awful.
It has gotten better in the last update,
Yeah.
I've
A
noticed.
little bit better.
A little bit better. We have 7-minute queue times instead of 11-minute queue times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think if only they had a whole game to try to sort out their matchmaking system, you know, that would have
it's
been
so
smart.
weird because like the queue times weren't that bad in Overwatch 1, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing that is making it so bad in Overwatch 2.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they took out that extra tank. That's what it is.
Well,
Makes everything worse.
it seemed fine before they made the change that they're trying to match up skill ranks on the same roles.
Yeah.
That seems to have made it way worse.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But people are complaining about match quality, so they're like, we could try to do this.
Well, I would I
Good idea.
then, question, have we had better matches because of that?
I
Like
don't think so.
I am
don't think so.
apparently higher ranked than you guys are, even though I think that if you played the new competitive, you'd probably be exactly where I am. But like, I was gonna say I don't think that it's actually improved anything, because if you put like a fucking grandmaster or whatever player on DPS, that person's still running laps around everybody. It doesn't matter if our best DPS person is there as well. Like, they're still just winning the game.
My observation is my quality of life when I play Overwatch and Overwatch 2 has deteriorated because of the amount of just me going while I'm playing it. Because it's just I feel like Overwatch 1, you had like that skill-based matchmaking in it, and you could go like, I don't know, good 2-3 games of like either even on the playing field, or you're just kind of like winning a little bit more than usual, and then you have a couple games where you lose. This, it's just like you win one, you're about to get steamrolled the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Solo matchmaking feels a lot better than
I was gonna
the
say,
group
when I have
matchmaking.
played solo, I actually feel like I've gotten a lot of really good matches.
Mhm.
But as soon as we squad up, all of that goes out the goddamn window. Like it's so bizarre. Like
We go
especially
against
if we have a 5-stack, it's over, dude.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. We either go against another 5-stack. This is the first time they've ever 5-stacked, or we go against, I don't know, just get absolutely wrecked by a group
like
of
an
5.
Overwatch League training team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's wild.
It's pretty insane. All right. Chad and Alex are both giving me the face of, we're wasting time. We could be doing Nightfalls here. So we're going to move on to what have you been playing lately? And everybody gets 1 minute to talk about the game they've been playing.
my God.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
Wait,
not that short a time.
1 minute of the game? Because there's quite a few games here.
Oh, man. I just lost the game.
Dang, I haven't lost a game in a while.
Wow.
But I just did.
All right, Jake, we're starting with you.
Okay, I finally finished Ragnarok.
Hey.
Technically,
My
I did
goodness.
this several weeks ago, but we haven't done this in a while. Yeah, it was good. I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm controversial here. I feel like the ending was really rushed.
You're not
like-
controversial.
Okay,
There's a
was.
lot of people who think it's rushed.
I mean, maybe
First-
it's because they took like,
It comes
literally
together pretty
like
quick.
40 hours building up to it, and then they were just like, oh, and then Ragnarok happens, and then the end.
Yeah.
It comes together pretty quick. Also, I think there's evidence to show that there's like a section that was cut going into Surtur and his lover's stories more.
I have a conspiracy theory that this was supposed to be a trilogy.
Well, that's not really a conspiracy theory. There's a ton of people that just showed evidence that it was supposed to be a trilogy, and the main director actually, I forget if he got booted or if he just left, and then somebody had to come in and take up the reins, and they basically said, we got to pump this out as a duo instead of a trio.
Weird.
I mean, it checks
I
out that game
don't
was
think-
so much longer.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, Corey Balrog has been the guy since, as far as I can remember, even on the first set of games.
I watched interviews, and whoever the lead was said that he came in on the second game and was like he was replacing somebody. So I don't. Maybe I'm wrong here, and I'm misspeaking, and people need to go fact check
Maybe
me.
it's a different position or something.
But-
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't because there's even a point in the game. So like the first game starts, they're at home and they're hunting, and the second game starts and they're like at home doing something, and then there's another part later in this game where they're at home hunting, and I'm like, this is where they wanted to start the third game. You would have started every game. It would have been like a nice little like, oh, they're always at home, but the situation is so different.
Yeah.
But it's just randomly like 4/5 of the way through Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it was good. I felt a little underwhelmed by the ending, but it was a fun game.
I think the final, for how cool Odin's character is, the final fight with him is kind of like, I mean, it's all right. It's not spectacular.
Nothing special, yeah.
So I feel like I spent the whole game thinking he was going to have, like, something up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he plays the whole game kind of, like, quietly manipulative, and, like, he's a really fun, interesting character. I love every scene with him. But I kept thinking, like, okay, when is the grand scheme revealed? Where do I find out what he's been playing at? And I guess there is something like that, now that I'm saying
There
this
is,
out loud.
yeah.
There is something like that. But it wasn't like, oh, my plan all along, I was, like, tricking you into activating the Infinity Gauntlet. It's just like, no, the thing he said he wanted, that's what he wanted. He wanted that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's pretty
oh.
straightforward, but also like,
All right.
taking advantage of a child. And,
I mean, sure.
Whoa.
But who doesn't? Who hasn't done that? You know?
and like,
be careful there.
he basically put all his eggs in that basket and it didn't work out for him.
Yeah,
That's true.
I don't know. I thought there was gonna be like more there, but there wasn't. It was fine. It was good.
Cool.
I also started playing Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I'm not very far in this one. This is the new Neo game. So that's by I don't know why I started
Team
that sentence.
Ninja.
I don't know. It is
Ooh,
Team Ninja.
rip.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah.
Team Ninja, and I was like, is that just because they make Japanese games that I think that's their name?
Nope.
No. So when this game got announced, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, that's the Neo answer to Elden Ring," and it's not. It's the Neo answer to Sekiro, which I didn't expect. It's pretty good. I think it's no Sekiro.
No,
I think
absolutely not.
Sekiro kicks the shit out of it on almost
Yeah.
every front.
It ends up being more like a Dark Souls than it is like Sekiro.
Yeah,
In
yeah. I mean,
gameplay.
you think so? There's
Yeah.
such a heavy focus on the parry.
Yeah, but I feel like, Sekiro is all about parrying like combos that enemies throw out and then having your own section where you combo a little bit. And this is very much parry one attack, hit the person till they die, it seems.
Yeah, it is. It's weird because, right, Sekiro, it's like, okay, they're gonna hit you a bunch, and sometimes they'll have like a big special move that's like unparryable, and so you gotta dodge, or you gotta like jump and block the lightning or whatever the fuck, Whereas this one, like, you can parry normal attacks, but the one you really need to parry is the one where they flash red and they do like a big attack, and if you parry that, you almost guaranteed break their guard,
Yeah.
and then you can do like a big finishy move. So, like, I've seen online strategies that are like, look, if they don't do that big move, just run. Just, like, stay away from them. And when they do that big move, get in there, parry it, and then just kill them. Like, that's all you gotta do. And, like, I've not tried it myself, but I feel like that's probably a good plan.
It doesn't sound like a very fun way.
I mean, probably not, no. But it's probably effective if you get, like, stuck.
How's performance?
It's okay.
Yeah, it has some stuttering issues very occasionally for me.
I've read a lot of people complaining about that. On top of like the people complaining about, oh, my mouse and keyboard controls aren't good. I'm like, just playing this game with mouse and keyboard.
That's 90% of the bad reviews on Steam. It's just the mouse and keyboard controls are awful.
Yeah, I had the same reaction when I saw that. I was like, who the hell is playing this with mouse and keyboard? Like, who decided to do that? That's insane. I feel like it also just like looks worse than Neo 2, which came out a long time ago.
I think it looks like the same.
The same? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. It could just be like Neo 2, I feel like, had a little more color in its cheeks. I don't know.
Maybe so.
I'm not very far in this game, so maybe I'm just talking nonsense right now.
It does. It's very similar to the Neo games. It's not. So when you're comparing it like to Dark Souls, it's not really an open world game. There's like sandbox
Level-based.
missions. Yeah. That you explore and kill all the enemies in and fight the final boss.
I will say, I really like what they did with the levels, the, what's it called? The morale system.
Yeah, the morale
I
system's
think
cool.
that's super smart. So basically, each level you come in, and you have a morale of 1. It's basically like a level. And around the level, there are like flags, which are basically like your bonfires. You put a flag in, and your morale goes up. You also gain morale by killing enemies. But the thing is, if you die, your morale gets reset. At the start of the level, it goes back to 1. But as you set more flags, your minimum possible morale goes up. So, like, by the end, like, my minimum morale is, like, 20 if I do all the flags. So when I die, my morale goes back to 20. And each enemy also has a morale. So, like, you kind of get a sense of, like, leveling up within each self-contained level. Which I think it works really well.
Yeah, I think it really does. I feel like the level design in general is lacking, and I feel like if it was better, that would even feel better. But
yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate, right? Because the obvious point of comparison is FromSoft games, and no, you're not going to beat FromSoft when it comes to level design or enemy design or game feel. You're not going to beat them, is what I'm getting at. They're really fucking good at what they do.
Their art,
this is
their music,
B-level Souls.
Yeah, I do. So I will say I'm a fan of Neo 2, because it feels like Dark Souls, but like supercharged.
Yeah.
Like, I know I just said you're not going to beat FromSoft games in terms of like combat feel, but Neo at least adds a lot more like complexity. There's like different stances, there's different weapon variety, you have a lot more special moves, whereas Dark Souls tends to be like, this is your weapons combo. You know, you press R1 3 times, and these are the moves that you do. Whereas Neo's like, oh, well, if you're in high stance, and then you transition to low stance, and then you can transition to mid stance, and then you can do the special move. And it's like, it's a lot more.
Mhm.
But, you know, if you're really into the combat, you can get really into the combat. And I feel like that doesn't gel quite so well in a game that's about parrying. I almost feel like it's weird to have all this weapon variety. And again, Caleb, you seem to have a different opinion on the combat than me, where it is more combat focused than parry focused.
I think so. I also think it's a lot slower than something like Sekiro. I think it's even slower than Neo 2, weirdly.
It is. Neo 2 was like lightning fast. Neo 2 is crazy.
Yeah. I would have expected the more Sekiro version of the game to be a lot faster than the Dark Souls-y version, but it's not really the case.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's I mean, it's solid. I'm not like floored by it. I should mention I'm playing it on Game Pass, so far I've paid $1 for it.
Good deal.
Good deal.
I mean, I'm enjoying it for $1. I'd play that for $1. But yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's no Sekiro, but it's pretty fun.
Alex, how about you?
Yeah, just dozens and dozens of hours of Destiny, but also recently there was this mod collaboration for Celeste that came out. It's called Strawberry Jam. Clever little title, I think. Biggest mod collaboration that they've ever done for the game, and it kind of feels like a whole new, Celeste almost. It's like a bunch of new levels. They've got them arranged in like these like world maps, these overworlds, and then you just go into the levels and they have like the traditional Celeste stuff like hidden strawberries and stuff like that. But so far I've been really enjoying that. They start you off in a beginner lobby and they teach you, like, they remind you of mechanics that you might have forgotten. For the beginner lobby, it's like really simple stuff like you can jump out of space blocks and things like that, like normal things that you would know from base Celeste. And the levels have been like really well done. I think the beginner lobby has a lot of like cool mechanic ideas that are in the base game, that are just like fun to play through, not too difficult. I'm in the intermediate lobby now. It's definitely getting a lot harder. And they remind you of mechanics like the hypers and the supers and like the extended hyper, that kind of thing. That's stuff that you would do in chapter 9.
Which you still haven't beaten.
No, I have not. I showed Caleb the other day the exact spot where I stopped playing that, and he agreed that it was a brutal spot.
Which spot?
Where you hit a block, one of the blocks that moves slowly, and you have to hyper dash under a bunch of hanging crystals to land on it as it's moving, and then bounce off of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that part's insane.
I tried it so many times, gave up eventually. After playing a bunch of this, I might go back to chapter 9 and see if I can finish it, but
you probably can. It's weird, like after I've been playing a lot of just original Celeste. I'm actually on chapter 8 right now, and it's weird how like much better at that game I am the second time around. I think I had like something in the neighborhood of like 15 deaths on the first chapter total. It just like, once you understand the mechanics, the game's very fun. You can figure out how to navigate levels a lot easier than you could just, the basic mechanics.
Yep.
Amazing game.
I had played one of these community-made like collaboration mods before. It didn't really click, but I think this one's way better. A lot of the levels kind of match that same spirit of Celeste, the look and feel, the gameplay feel, all of
like
it really.
The evolution of a mechanic throughout a level, like teaching you the ins and outs of it, and then coming up to like a section that's harder that puts it all together. That sort of thing.
Yep. There's a few of the levels that are going to be kind of one-off gimmicky, and they don't feel like they really fit Celeste as well. But usually they have an interesting mechanic to play with, so it's usually not too bad. But most of them feel really good. Feel a lot like Celeste. A few of them I'd say are on par with Celeste levels, original game levels.
I really like the levels where you have like an object that you have to go around to get through.
Yeah, that's very fun.
Those are fun.
And they're really well designed.
There's a level with a new mechanic where you pick up a dash reset, but it's a special one that's a different color, and it lets you dash through solid terrain. Like a
galaxy block.
Galaxy block. That was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
The best level in there, I think, it's one of those hot cold levels from
Oh yeah.
base game, and it has like you can get through it each way, like because there's a switch that flips between hot and cold, but every section of the level can be completed either way, and there's some secrets if you complete it not the straightforward way and do it the opposite.
Oh, that's
which is
cool.
kind of harder, which I think is really cool idea.
There's also some low parts, I think. There's a couple puzzle levels that I thought were more annoying than interesting.
Yeah, that is the case.
But yeah, for the most part, it's been a lot of fun. I would recommend anybody pick it up. Also, modding has got to a state with that game that it's like so streamlined and easy to use now.
Very easy to install.
There's just like a mod loader that just works on top of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Caleb, how about you? What have you been playing?
So I finished Chained Echoes. I talked about this last month sometime, but I just wanted to bring it up again, kind of sing its praises again, because it is excellent from start to finish. It's so good. Even if you don't like JRPGs, I don't really like JRPGs, but I still love this game. I think you should try it out. If I had played it last year, it would have been on my Game of the Year list, but I missed it. Much like feels like a Hollow Knight miss.
I mean,
you know,
December 8th. That's like really hard to get on the Game of the Year list.
It is. But it's on Game Pass, so you know if you want to pay it for $1 for a month, pretty good.
Cool.
I'm literally gonna install that right now.
You should. It's excellent.
Didn't realize it was on Game Pass.
I also picked up the Metroid Prime remake on Switch. But I decided to actually play it emulated on my PC. Just because it runs better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Crimes.
That game's still great. The visual updates make it look really good, and the update to the modern shooter controls kind of brings it in line with more modern FPSs. And it's just a really good first-person Metroidvania. Unlike Dread, it's a little more focused on puzzles and exploration than on like the boss fights. Or platforming.
It's way slower paced. I've never played through Metroid Prime until this remake.
One of my favorite games of all time.
I technically played it when I was younger, but like I don't know, I think I just got like lost and just was like I can't figure this out. I was too dumb and stupid.
No, it's understandable. I think it could use a little guidance in some areas. Much like Metroid Dread like kind of guided you around places. I think this one could use a little bit of that. Because there's a couple parts specifically that I can think of where you beat a boss, you get a new power up, it opens a shortcut back to like an area you've been to before. But what the game actually wants you to do is go back like 3 rooms and find a new pathway to the next objective. But it doesn't really tell you that, so you go using the shortcut, which seems obvious. And that's just not where it wants you to go.
Yeah, there were definitely a few times where I like went what I thought was obviously forward and then had to go, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I had to like open up my map, scroll through like every area and go, okay, there's a door here, maybe that's it.
Yeah, it could use a little guidance, I think. But it's still excellent. And exploring it is fun. Just a little unnecessary backtracking sometimes.
Yeah. The music is like, whoa. Like crazy atmospheric. Really, really amazing.
It really is. Yeah, the boss fights are lacking in that game, for sure.
They're okay.
Compared to more recent Metroids.
I mean, it's not fair, because Dread's boss fights are like, holy shit amazing. Like, it's incredible. True. Like, so good.
It's hard to compare that too, because it's like you played that so long ago, and it's what it is back then, and we've had so many amazing things since then. Yeah,
and it has to rely on like the mechanics of how the gameplay worked then, where you had to like lock on and you couldn't free game and stuff like that.
Right.
Oh my god, I forgot until playing this how fun it was just to run around in Metroid Dread, because just running around in Metroid Prime is not that fun. It's pretty slow, and I'm like, I'll morph into a ball to roll down this hill, and then I'll swatch out. No, it's very slow. It's slow no matter what you do. It's not amazing.
It's because it's a strand-like game.
Oh my gosh, just like Destiny.
Yeah.
It does have a grapple.
I read that the emulated version of the original, not the remaster, they hacked in keyboard and mouse controls.
That would be nice.
Interesting.
That probably would be really fun to play.
Crazy.
The last game I've been playing is Bloody Hell. It is a
Language, Caleb.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Please, children listen to this probably.
Yeah, this is a family podcast.
yeah. It's a top-down kind of twin-stick shootery Metroidvania. You play as a chicken, I think. You're an angel, and I think you're a chicken, and you're sent from heaven to hell to kill Satan.
As a chicken?
As an angel, but all the angels are birds of some kind, and I think you're a chicken.
That's why they have wings.
The goal is to kill
Makes
Satan.
sense.
The goal is to kill Satan, yeah.
All right, so like if this were like younger me, I would be trying to describe this to my mom. I'd be like, "Mom, the goal of the game is to kill Satan." She'd be like,
Diablo.
"No, Diablo 2 is like the most satanic game. I can't. You're not playing that."
I mean, if you said the
Mom.
name Bloody Hell, I think it would be way worse than if you said
Probably.
Diablo.
Probably. It just takes me back. I mean, I was like, man, funny times.
It reminds me a lot of Binding of Isaac. Weirdly,
Oh.
it's very bloody. It's got really gory art, and it's kind of a slower than a shmup, but sometimes has bullet helly elements to it. You know, like a Binding of Isaac feels a little methodical in its bullet hellness. I don't know how to describe that really. You know what I mean?
Methodical in its bullet hellness. Nailed it.
But this one is a Metroidvania, so there are lots of secrets. You can upgrade your characters with a relatively unique upgrade system. You start out with a grid that is a plus sign. It's just a 3x3 plus sign, and you get upgrades that are in various Tetris-like shapes, and you fit them into the grid. And you can also get new grid squares that you can add on wherever you wish to expand your grid and add on more upgrades.
Can you do the gritty?
Gritty. Do the gritty.
It's been a lot of fun. Most importantly, and I don't know why, but it's free on Steam.
Oh.
Oh, open with
Yeah.
that next
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say lead with that.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Stalling right now.
So yep, free on Steam, and I've been having a lot of fun with it.
I'll go next. I don't really have much to talk about because I've been very, very busy. I have not played a lot of video games. Of course, I've been playing some Destiny in preparation for the raid, but mostly been working on playing Van Life Builder 2023, which has been fun. Did some snowboarding. But I did want to mention one thing I have been doing a lot of recently, which is I've been reading Project Hail Mary, which is Andy Weir's most recent book. Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian. I don't know if you guys- I'm sure you guys have seen the movie. He also wrote Artemis, and then he wrote Project Hail Mary. This book is incredible. Just want to put it out there. If you want like a good in the vein of The Martian read, love this book. It's very unique, and they are making a movie out of it. I have. It's going to have Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. I have no freaking clue how Emma Stone's character is going to work, but very, very excited to see it. If you read the book, you'll understand why.
Together, huh?
I know they do. They do.
They do a
It
good
makes
job.
no sense for this book, but I guess they have adapted it so that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
You finally will be one of those people that's like, the book was better. I can't believe they changed it to be like this.
I'm already that person. Ready Player One, baby. The book is way better.
Yeah, it
Sure,
really
sure.
is better.
Are we retitling YBPL to YBDL?
What
What have you been doing lately? No, not really. It's just I've been so freaking busy. I haven't played any video games, so I wanted to get something in there.
And we've made other changes, so why not this one?
Yeah, and what have you been doing? What have you been doing lately? Fan Builder. Owen, what have you been playing?
I've been playing this game called Son of the Forest, sequel to The Forest. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was very much like The Forest, which, spooky. And I think that they had a lot of nice quality of life improvements in there, which really helped the gameplay of the game. One of the things that is you get a little companion, and you can tell the companion to be like, hey, go get me a bunch of logs, or go get me some food, or go do this. And I really love that because then I can concentrate on doing something else, or I could, while I'm building my base and that person's getting the logs, I'm not stuck in the resource gathering part of the game. I can concentrate on either the base building or the fighting of the cannibals part of the game, or the exploration part of the game. Also, there's like a zip line system that you can build which I think is really cool, because then you can, if you find yourself frequently going to a specific part of the island, you can set up a zip line that way, and then you can get there even faster, and then you don't have to be on the ground and deal with the cannibals if you don't want to. You can just be like, hey, I've explored the shit out of this part. I've made this zip line. I never have to look at this part again if I don't want to. I still can, but like I can also just zip past it and get to one of the cave that I've been exploring, or the other end of the island. So I think that's pretty cool. I really dug that. I also feel like I don't remember much of my time playing the original Forest, other than just kind of building my tree house and then fighting off crazy huge monster things with like 8 arms or whatever. But this one I felt like I had a direction, at least, when I was like, okay, I've built my base. I've got some ammo, I've got some weapons and things. Well, what do I do now? And there's like a little GPS tracker. And so I was like, okay, cool. I can go to one of the GPS spots and explore whatever's there. And maybe it's something that I, will need to come back to. Maybe it's something that I can find something in that'll be useful, and I can then use it somewhere else. But that's kind of neat that it's got some of the caves in little GPS locations. Some of the caves you only see once you get like close enough to it that it'll pop up on your little mini map and be like, there's a cave there. And I'm like, okay, cool. And all of the caves are worth exploring, because it's either something important, like there's gear or something in there, or there's something fun, like just a skeleton in a chair, and you're kind of like, oh, that's neat. This is a weird ice cave with a skeleton in a chair. Like, cool.
I do feel like the forest, the OG forest, like the lack of direction after you've built a base is just part of what the game was at the time. That game was in early access for years.
Did it ever come out?
It did.
It finally did, and it actually has a story. And I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it's loosely related to the story of Sons of the Forest.
It is kind of.
Okay.
It's kind of.
The only thing that is similar and somehow connected is that both of them deal with a remote area and some sort of weird artifact-like thing that is making people not people anymore.
Yeah.
There's kind of that happening.
I think, you're spot on. I'm sure this has like way more content and directs you in the right, area to go. And like, it feels like there's like a next step in the game. The Forest just very much to me felt like an experiment. Like it was in its early access stages, it was very much an experiment of like, all right, how do a small group of people play and interact with this game? And once we figure that out, we're going to put this in further development and figure out how to take this to the next level. It never really felt like anything more than just that. Like, we went and we built a treehouse, and then Travis lit it on fire and killed everybody. It was like, it's good times. But there's just never anything there. It was very much just like an experimental early access game.
Yeah, they're definitely... I remember playing it and just being like, okay, I built my thing. I want to explore around a little bit. And like, I either wouldn't find whatever I'm trying to explore for, or I'd find something and I'm just like, I'm not nearly prepared enough to go into that thing. Whatever it is, like, it's just so whatever, I'm not ready to make that jump. Whereas this, I constantly felt pretty on par. Like, I never felt like I was undergeared. There were some times that I was like, I could tell that I was like, oh, I need to find an upgrade soon, because the new big things that are starting to spawn in the overworld are not dying to whatever I've been doing. But at no point in time did I ever feel like I was like, oh, I can't fight it at all, I just need to run. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just like go find a new thing at some point. So yeah, I agree, like, without having that kind of GPS push of where to go, yeah, you just kind of would walk around, and if you didn't find anything, you're like, cool, and then you just log off because you didn't find anything. Whereas here it's just like, okay, I know where I can find some things and I can progress my story.
Right. Did you play anything else?
I've been playing a lot of Sims and Apex, because I guess I like EA games. I don't really have a good. I don't have a good answer why. I just sometimes I feel like I need to be playing something a little shootery and twitchy, and no one's on for Overwatch, and I don't want to play it by myself. So I just have been playing a little Apex, and Sims is fun. It's chaotic. It's a good time to just kind of build houses and do stuff. I just built a Sim whose entire mission was to become president and sleep with every single person that voted for them.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like something Brock would do in the Sims game.
Yeah, so that was
Obama.
That was a good time. I enjoyed that.
Barack. That sounds like something Barack would do in the Sims.
The heck, Alex?
You said the Sims, which reminded me of SimCity, which reminded me they announced a new city builder. What was it called?
City Skylines?
Yeah, the new City Skylines that's gonna have rats.
Did you see their claim about the size of the city that you can build?
No. How big of a city can you build in it?
In the first one, you had 9 tiles to work with by default, and it was like a pretty big city. It was like bigger than what you could do in the last SimCity they put out that me and Abe and Aaron tried to play. It was very disappointing. And then there was mods for that game that unlocked it to like the highest possible degree that you could do, which was 81 tiles. Apparently, the new game is going to be 150 tiles by default.
That's so
people
many.
have been wondering if the 150 tiles is not the same tile size as the previous game. And
the tiles are different size.
Yeah. So there might not actually
false
be
advertising.
So
a huge city.
Marketing, baby.
I mean, there's no evidence one way or the other. But
I mean,
that's some.
is City Skyline? Is that an EA one? No,
I don't think so.
is it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe it could be true. It's possible.
EA is SimCity, and
Okay.
City Skylines came out to be like, we know that SimCity came out and was terrible, so here's a good thing.
So here's a good one.
Kind of like how the Planet Blanks showed up when they were like, "Oh yeah, you want a Sim Coaster game or a Coaster Tycoon? Let's go with Planet Coaster." And same thing with the Zoo one. Oh, you like Zoo Tycoon? Here's Planet Zoo. And I was like, wow, these are way better.
You don't make a good one of the thing that you're good at doing. Other people will do it.
Yeah, someone will show up and make it.
Your face every time. You don't make a good one at the thing you're doing. All right,
he's got
if you
stuff
didn't
to
say
do.
anything about it at all, the people that listen to the audio, they would just never know. They would just never know about
that's
it.
true. That's
Never
true.
know that you got your brow down while you're staring blankly.
I don't know how you can do it because if I was playing a Nightfall, I wouldn't even be able to have a normal conversation. Man, nope, ain't no way.
I'm playing with the game muted.
It doesn't matter.
I'm
Dude.
just on autopilot.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Chad, last but not least, Chad, what have you been playing lately?
Well, there's this game called Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Playing
Heard of
that.
it. Once or twice.
Playing the crap out of that. Guild Wars 2. So I've been playing a little bit of that too. About a month and a week ago, decided that I'd start leading raids. So we got our little Fellowship of the Quaggins Guild, and we are pumping through some raid content. And when I say pumping, I mean the train is actually screeching to a halt on every boss. So it's been fun though, because I think a lot of the people in the group have never experienced raids. Their experience of Guild Wars is the basic story, basic open world, a little bit of world versus world, which doesn't take that much mind power or positioning or
mind power.
You just kind of go in, hold W key, listen to a commander say, double dodge through AoEs and blah blah. So you get to raids and there's all these mechanics of X player has to stand here because they have a fixate, because there's no actual tank inside of Guild Wars. There is toughness though, so you can put on armor that has more toughness and the boss will usually go for them. But there's things that they've developed called fixates, which are purple diamond, or sometimes could be red, blue. There's a diamond that goes above your head that that you have the boss's aggro. You have to position a boss away from the group. The group has to stand behind the boss. Different mechanics such as on the boss Gorseval, big baddie in the middle with some tentacles, likes to baby rage a lot to where he slams on the ground. Lots of black goo that you kind of stand in, hurts you. There's wind walls on the left and right of him. It's kind of like a circular wind wall, but you can go left or right and you kind of kill the wind wall to jump out, because basically what he does, he spear bombs the entire platform and it will kill the entire group. Basically a wipe mechanic. But if you kind of just run off to the left and you time it correctly, break the wall, Guild Wars has something called a glider. So you basically just, jump off, tap your spacebar again, you have a glider, go over to a wind tunnel, brings you back up, go back onto the platform. Mechanics like that. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. I got to make call outs for all that because, people either don't know, not paying attention, or, it's just a thing that when you're amongst 10 people, just want to make sure you remind them, hey, we're about to have to go break that wall, or hey, stun the boss now, stuff like that. So it's been fun. I think it's been a lot of fun times. Alex is healing for us. Kate's doing damage. Mom and Dad are doing damage. I'm doing damage. There's only 2 healers in the group of 10, so. But yeah, we got through the first wing. It's broken into wings. Wings 1 through 4 are Heart of Thorn stuff. Wings 5 through 7 is Path of Fire. We tried wing 4, got through 2 bosses of the 4, and then we called it quits. Pretty much every run is a quote-unquote training run where you're basically going to die a lot until you figure out the fight. But the first wing, I think we actually do have pretty down. If we went back and did it, I think we could kind of clean it up rather rapidly. But yeah, that's what we've been doing in Guild Wars. And last but not least, the video game that I've been playing, because I haven't really been playing much, is Hogwarts Legacy. Game is it's pretty fun. It's your typical Harry Potter world. I mean, you're at Hogwarts. You're a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, you're a wizard. The story is, from what I understand, a prequel. Like it's way before actual Harry Potter.
Like 100 years in the past.
Yeah. Okay. You're following you develop a wizard. You choose a house that you want to be in, and you pretty much just get lots of side quests, and you go through and you just smack things. Kind of like your God of War or your what did you describe it as, Alex?
I keep
somebody
comparing
compared it to Arkham, right?
Arkham Combat.
Yeah,
it's essentially Arkham Combat.
Yeah,
But ranged weirdly.
Range, you're doing combos, you're doing parries. You have the way I describe it is spidey senses. So over right on your head, it'll glow yellow, and that means you can parry it. And if it glows red, then that means that you can't, and you just have to dodge.
That's a mechanic straight from Arkham. It's got the stuff from Arkham where all the enemies have a specific way you're supposed to counter their defense first before you can kill them.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a toad looking thing, and he tries to lick you, and what you do is you accio his tongue, and then after you do that, you're able to hit his underbelly, and so it's real cool.
When you accio his tongue, does your character say accio tongue?
No, just accio.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's so lame.
They just say all the spells.
They didn't record enough voice lines to accio every specific thing.
I
think
mean,
accio so many
early
things
on
in
in
the
the
game.
game, they talk about silent spellcasting. I mean, early,
Yeah.
an hour and 15 minutes in, they're like, "Oh, I've been working on silent spellcasting," which, I mean, if you've watched the movies or read the books, it's not something that happens all that often. I mean, they just say the name of the spell when they cast it.
They don't have a lot of voice lines. You go to Hogsmeade and it's oh, I guess all paths lead to Hogsmeade, and then every time you use a flue flame, it's just you can't imagine what traveling was like before flue flames were invented. And it's just
about the flue lady.
Yeah, you constantly
She's
hear
pretty
those
obnoxious.
lines.
One of them's I used to be an adventurer like you.
I think the side quests are really cool. Digs into more lore than just what you're going through on the front end. It kind of actually breaks it up to where if you want to unlock your spells, you have to go through the side quests, so you can't just pummel through the main story. You also can get the death curses, which is kind of cool. There's also different rings and stuff that you can go into, which is wave based. There's 5 waves of bad guys. They give you the curses, and you can go through and try to test your abilities. And I sat way too long in the beginning trying to farm out that, and probably shouldn't have. Probably should have leveled up, because the rest of the game was a freaking cakewalk, and I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. So something tells me I shouldn't have done that, and I should have gone through the main story a little bit further. I started talking to Alex, and I was like, bro, I'm level 15, and I'm just now unlocking traits, which you're supposed to do at like level 5 or something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, there's something called there's something called ancient magic that's just randomly in there.
That's their gimmick for your character to be special.
Yeah, your character is just a normal human that just randomly got magic at one point, and it's just like, hey, yo, I'm incredible at everything to do with magic ever.
If your wizard existed for real in the Harry Potter universe, he would be the most powerful wizard in history, super easily.
Like, if your wizard existed for real,
like
in the fictional Harry Potter universe.
If he showed up and Voldemort was there, being all like, "Oh, I'm so strong," he would kill Voldemort in like a second.
Yeah.
Like,
they're just like, hey, yo, learn the skill, and then you learn it, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you're a master of this spell
instantaneously. And
I mean,
you can cast them without saying the spell anymore.
Doesn't that
yeah, what? No, you.
I was just gonna say, doesn't that tie into like the premise of like what starts this story?
Yeah,
because of the whole like
a person that has never been exposed to magic before the beginning of the game, essentially, and you were just a master wizard in a matter of seconds, like outclassing all of your other fifth years.
I mean, they do say like at the beginning of the game, they're like, oh, well, you've shown much, much better capabilities than people of your age, which is why you're bringing into Hogwarts as a fifth year.
Yeah.
And then the whole like old magic that you can somehow see and read and interact with sort of thing. I don't know.
It's so funny.
You got some side quests where you go to class, so you actually get to experience like being a Hogwarts student. You go to like the plant class or like the potions class or like, you know, stuff like that. So then after you go through those classes, you get a room of red. What is the room?
Requirement.
The room of requirement. There we go. And then you're able to build it out. It starts opening into like different wings. And you can actually like put plants in there to grow for like crafting. Craft some potions so that you could have your heal potions and your power potions and stuff like that. And then it starts opening up to where you can actually have like pet playpens, and so you can start breeding pets and catching them and throwing them in there. Cool stuff. It's really interesting. If you're in the type of Hogwarts stuff, it's be cool.
I started playing this, but like on my first like couple hours I was playing, I got to this point where I like was interacting with some lore elements that I really wanted to talk to Janae about. So I go upstairs and I'm like, hey babe, there's this thing in Hogwarts. I don't want to hear about it. I'm like, she's like, well, I want to play the game. I'm like, all right, well, listen, I'm going to pause because I want to experience this with you because she is the most like Hogwarts person that I know, like Harry Potter person that I know. I mean, she's literally on a plane right now back from Harry Potter World, Universal Studios Orlando, where she was for the past 3 days doing Harry Potter stuff. And she knows more about lore than anybody that I've met. So anytime I bring something up or try to bring up a new factoid, she's already heard about it like 6 months ago. She backed it on Kickstarter 2 years ago. She like always knows everything about it. And so in this game, there's elements that I kept hearing and seeing, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool because I know how that works in the books or in the movies. And so like to me, I kind of want to experience this with her simultaneously. She doesn't even play video games normally.
Yeah, so you're never gonna play it, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking about going to halftime at work, you know. So there's that. We'll see. Yeah.
Like
is
football?
this like she's talking about quitting? Or
yeah, about like that. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll see.
She will never play that video game.
I know. Maybe. Hey, maybe. I have an extra PC down here. Maybe she'll use it. We'll see. Before we get off of here, I did want to mention one thing. While we were talking about random things, I noticed that there is a site that gives you a raid report for Destiny, and it gives you stat rankings based on all of the other Guardians who've ever done raids.
Oh, wow.
I do want you guys to know that I am a gold 4 rank for speed, which is the top 30% of all Guardians who've completed raids.
Wow.
I have personally cleared 16. I know multiple of us have cleared that or close to that. However, I was looking at the stats in this, and I'll send you guys the link. The number one person in this Destiny raid report is a guy named IcyNip7.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
importantly, if you look at his stats, you're like, all right, King's Fall, 13 clears. Vow of the Disciple, 23 clears. Crown of Sorrow, 64 clears. Then you get over to Deep Stone Crypt, 9,844 clears.
What?
That's
His
the only...
average is 17 and a half minutes, and his fastest clear is 11 minutes and 13 seconds.
Okay,
He
so he's
has-
just trying to speedrun this
He has
constantly.
Yeah,
he's a speedrunner.
976,000 kills, and he has played, you ready for this? He has played a total
Oh,
of
boy.
158 days and 4 hours just in the Deep Stone Crypt, which, by the way, is not even one of the best raids by a landslide. It's cool, but it is not up there.
That's more hours
Mind-boggling.
in that than I think Alex has in Dota
Wow.
in that one raid.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I think this is a win for me.
Also, he has, if you look at his stats, he has multiple raids that list as flawless.
What
Yeah,
is
we
that?
gotta
Does
get
that
there.
mean nobody
No
died?
deaths.
No deaths.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Yeah,
have
we're
a
gonna do that
grapple now.
tomorrow.
Gotta
Last
grapple.
Wish, flawless. Garden of Salvation, flawless. Deep Stone Crypt, flawless. He duoed and trioed multiple raids. I don't even know how you do that on some of those. Mind-boggling.
You don't invite more people. You just go
I-
with.
I like how you had to
Two.
list Deep Stone Crypt for him flawless. Like you would think after
imagine
158
After
that was one of
days.
the ones that he didn't.
That's true. That's true. I didn't even need to mention that. Anyway. All right. Well, that's all we got this week. We will be back in 2 weeks, though I think we're probably going to record our podcast before that Thursday, because technically that Thursday we will be in Boston for PAX East.
Yeah, I'll post it. Don't worry.
So maybe we will record it earlier or something. I don't know quite what our plan is, but we definitely want to do a pre-pep, not pre-pup. So look forward to that. We're excited about going to PAX again, eating some Chinese food, some dim sum, getting a lobster roll, and then seeing all the new video games. Very exciting. So join us back in 2 weeks. And if you want, come check us out tomorrow. We're going to be invading Jake's stream night for a raid. So that's very exciting. It's his first official raid. And it is our first time as a group doing a brand new raid on launch day for contest mode. So we're very excited about that. So
Does Gardens of
Thanks for joining us.
Salvation not count?
no, we didn't play that on launch day.
Well, you said first official raid. I mean, are we saying that official raid is launch day raid? That's like
First-
any
No,
other
it's
raid that
launch
you've
day.
ever done isn't
I'm
official?
saying this is our official first time of doing a raid on launch day that's
Okay.
new. Like
Okay,
we
cool.
did
King's
King's
Fall
Fall
was
on
a
launch day,
re-release.
but it's a re-release. So anyway, thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. See ya.